I want to welcome you to the Charly Crawford podcast. Let's ride.
Over $380,000 in lifetime earnings and 5 Open Futurity Championships. New One-Time Blues has proven himself at the highest levels of competition, and now he's passing that greatness on. His foals are eligible for every major incentive program, giving you every opportunity to compete for the money that matters. Unmatched genetics, championship pedigree, foals with size built to win. New One-Time Blues. This is what you breed for.
All right, summertime.
Chuck,
Good seeing you, partner.
thanks for having me.
Man, I tell you what, so proud of, from when you came from Healing, went to Hedden, just your journey, man, has been pretty dang cool. One of the few guys in that category that made the NFR Healing, made the NFR Hedden. Just phenomenal, man, the route that you're on right now. It's been cool to watch.
Yeah, no, it's been fun. I never thought I'd be heading, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously I headed a lot growing up as a kid, head and heel. Being from Florida, you just loved to rope. It didn't matter what you did, but healing was my forte, and that's what I did, when I did go to town. So, and I did it for a long time, and to have swapped, it was different, but I felt like it was a good move, and I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, so natural.
It's been fun.
Well, how about that American win? How cool was to get the dub at the American?
That was awesome. Last year I had a chance, me and Jake, and I missed super fast. I had a great steer, missed him, threw a weird loop too, not my normal miss loop. And ever since that, I'm like, man, that's the one I didn't want to miss, And I'm like, I hope I get back in that position, but it's hard to get back to the 4-man, But to get to come back and then get the W, it was.
I've told so many young kids, and because this was my route, when it took me 4 years to win state in Oregon. Well, the first year I went, I should have won it. There was,
right.
And then I missed, trying to impress all the girls, trying to go all this stuff, and then still have a chance to make the high school finals in the short round, and I miss. And I'm like, I never miss in the short round. I'm like, that's
right.
always like that run that that's when I show up. And 365 days later, I'm in the same spot, my sophomore year. I got to do good in the short round to be able to make my high school finals, and then I win the short round. But there's something about marinating on that same shot, same scenario for 365 days, to where I remember that so many times from college, then to the pros, to where you talk about how hard it is to be a rookie coming out because there's so many places you ain't seen, so many different setups.
That's
well,
right.
That one where you ding it, he's right there. You think about that for a while.
Oh, wow.
And then you think of the American. This is the biggest one up to the yellow arena. So I can imagine the redemption that you were thinking about when you come back in that 4-man, because you guys annihilated that first one. 3-6.
Yeah,
no mistakes from the start to the tight head loop to the first hop. Bam. And that transmission just right down the line.
Yeah, Cowboy Channel, they was playing last year's, seemed like every day of the week leading up to the American. And I'd walk in the house and Team Rowan be on. I would just turn it off. I've thought about it so much. I'm like, I don't want to see it again.
I want to see that again.
I
know what I'd change.
I want to try it again. I'm ready. I'm ready to go back, but I don't want to see last year's again.
We'll talk about, when you come back, annihilate that steer. And it was me, and I remember I was watching I got to go there. And so I was on the head, and man, from the start was tight. Just wiped it out. Head loop tight, like always, tight to the horn. First hop, finish. Everything was there was just zero mistakes.
Yeah.
And then so here you are, 365 days later, you are the last one now in the Final Four.
Right.
And you've got, I think Jade told me this morning, 480 and change to win it, if I remembered right. Or 4.9. 4.9. You had 4.9 to win it. And talk about keeping it tight.
Yeah, no.
Talk about that last one to win the $100,000.
Yeah, I thought in my head when I rode in there for the last one, I thought, well, that setup, I'm more confident in that setup than any with transmission. Not being arrogant, cocky, none of that mess. But the NFR setup, that's the closest to it as you're going to go. Me and transmission, I'm confident. I'm very confident in it. I feel like I can hit the start as good or better than anybody with that horse. And our run, my head loop, everything is good. So in my mind, I was thinking, okay, just follow the steer, one extra swing ahead of him. Well, my one extra swing took a little bit longer than I really wanted it to, but in my mind, in my clock, in my head, I'm like, we're still good. Well, then Jade kind of did the same thing, and I'm like, oh, crap.
This is
So
gonna
I'm
be
like,
tight.
please face. And then I looked up, and it's 4.8, and we had to be 4.9. I'm like, that was too close.
Textbook.
Way too close.
That's like, hey, guys, you got to be 4.9. Okay, we'll be 4.8.
Yeah.
But I was with you because I seen the extra one, then he checked off.
Yeah,
He
he
checked
did.
off,
He
and
checked
that
off.
threw a little bit extra rope right there. And then Jade was right there because he was still kind of following.
That's right.
And then when he hit, knew that it wasn't good. And then it was like, you look up, you're like, that's tight. Ooh, they did it.
Yeah, like I was
work.
good, all the way through my head loop. I'm like,
Mhm.
we're all right. But then it was like there was a little bit of something. Maybe when he checked right there or something, it took a little longer. And
check and maybe
in
a
my
small
stomach,
follow.
I'm like, we got to hurry up.
Yeah,
We got to
yeah.
hurry right here.
Yeah.
And to look up and I was like, thank you, Lord. I mean,
Well, when we talk about transmission, what a horse. Horse has
He
been that
is.
way for so long. What is it that, especially on those shorter setups, why does he fit those setups? And also, what is it about him that makes it so easy?
man, Chuck, that horse he's been great forever, just like you said. Even when I healed my rookie year, he was great. I mean, getting to watch him back then, I thought that head horse is rank. But now he's so solid. When I back him in the box, he don't move. He stands there, but he's on go. I mean, the short setup, that's what he wants now. But you can get such a good start, and he fires so hard that I feel like what happens is when I go and I let go, he pulls me up. And when he pulls me up, there's no cheat in him whatsoever. He stays with me through my head loop. And when I put it on the saddle horn, he'll pull him out the arena and he'll finish. And you can't put that in one.
Well, I remember when Jay Adams rode him, and he was just phenomenal.
Yeah.
And when I see him now, being as old as he is, how old is he now?
He's 21.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now he knows his job. So usually when they get that old, the first thing usually goes is their legs.
That's right.
Where he had a lot of late speed back then too.
Yeah.
Well, now he's so smooth.
Yes,
Even though he's lost maybe the speed that he had,
He has.
to me, those short strides or those short setups, my opinion, that's where them older horses now just shine.
Yeah, that's where they thrive.
Because like you said, there's so much too on how a horse leaves the back of the box to the steer and how they leave flat in your hand, and there's no wasted movements.
That's right.
Because all that little stuff to where if they do this and that on the way there, that throws your balance off.
Yeah,
that
no, it
throws your
does. It
swings
throws it
off,
off.
throws your timing off, even if it's that little. So when we're talking about them horses to work, because one of your things that I think so much too is your consistency.
Yeah.
Well, man, when them horses stay under you the whole time, and you can just weld your rope on
That's
them.
right.
But if they move around, it's not that you can't, but it does throw a little bit. It's a little
does.
trickier when they move at all to where you're going to place that rope because it's so fast.
Right. Well, that's me.
And then just
when
a
I
strength
let,
in
when
the
I let
corner.
go of him from the time I nod and I let go, like I said, he pulls me forward, and he does. And I know that there's no pull me forward and he's going to duck. He stays with me, and I can rope the horns however I want to rope them, whether it's when I'm hitting the barrier or if I want to go 3 more swings. He stays with me, and it's crazy that a horse, because I don't rope on him, obviously. I mean, he's 21. He gets exercise. He never runs a practice steer. Never. All he does is when we go to town. And for one to stay with me as many runs as I've made on him, I got him in, 21. And all he's ever done is compete. And I mean, he stayed as true as, like I said, he loves doing what he does. And I think he likes being in the light. And he's like, hey, man, I want to win. So I'm going to do my job for you. Now you do your job. And it's cool. I think he's a horse of a lifetime. Like, it'd be hard to replace him.
Well, and he's such a special horse too, because like you say, he never throws your throwaway. He never takes your throwaway. He never lets off. He never steps out.
Never.
He always runs right toward your rope, and then when he steps out, it's up.
It's
them
up.
Shoulders stay up to where he pedals just enough to where he posts them steers up, and then when they do, his strength to be, and also I think because he's up, he's able to open them steers up and pull them, and then when
you can't put him in a bind wherever
he's
wherever
never
you
been
put
in
him,
a bind.
He'll just
even in the NFR.
Yeah,
that's
10th
the
round this
easiest
past
place
year.
to be in that bind.
That's right.
And he still finds a way, and that rope's always tight all the way to the finish.
Yeah, the 10th round this past year, steer come out. We knew it was terrible. Went left. I took an extra swing, and without transmission and Jade, it was impossible. We went 4-2, and it was the hardest run that you could set up at the NFR. But it was like he hit, Jade healed him at the one spot that I don't know how he done it, but he's Jade Corkill. And transmission was in a spot over there you wouldn't think he could do it, and he just, and it's like, I don't know. You know, like I said, it's hard. It'll be hard to replace him one day because
he's gonna go down. He's gonna go down as one of the ones everyone remembers.
Yeah.
You know, Viper was known at that NFR, but I remember watching Speedy ride him at Salinas, so
Yeah.
he was that top level too. But at the end, he knew that one was going to be in them short setups. You
Yeah.
can see where transmissions right along that same line, and yeah, it's cool, man. It's fun to watch, and you know he's loved.
Yeah, he is loved.
He's
I
so
think
many.
that one of
He's
the
a
coolest
fan
things, though,
favorite
too, and it's like you were saying right there, and I was going to say it. Jade said that he's probably one of the easiest horses he's ever healed behind in his life, but it goes back to what you're saying. He's always up, and it is when you put it on the saddle horn, Charlie. You can do whatever you want to do with the steer.
Yeah, it looks like when you put it on, it looks like hot knife through butter, and you can just put that sucker on a plate if you
can
want
put
to.
his feet together.
Mhm.
It's crazy, you know, and you've rode lots of great head horses. It's hard to get that feel in one. When they got it,
Mhm.
or they don't. One of the two.
Yeah. Well, and you talk about just one that lets you rope and always on your team and lets you win.
Yep.
You know, that's to me that creates confidence in
Yeah.
both you
In
and your
both.
partner. Your
You're
partner
right.
knows now when he gets there, he knows where he's going.
Yeah. I wish I could ride him and ever steer for him, but I can't. But Joe's
But
a
man,
pretty
talk
good
about
backup.
where, you know, there's enough of those short setups that, man,
There
he,
is.
He earns his feed,
There
you know,
is.
throughout the year. And
There is, you know, he gets a lot in the winter, which ain't a lot. They're all close to the house, and then I've got where I take him to Puyallup.
Mhm.
He gets one little long trip out there, and then
Mhm.
I'll keep him there and just ease him over to Sioux Falls.
Mhm.
Because them rodeos pay so good. It's hard to have him at the house and know, hey, I could have one of the best head horses here, but it's a long trip. But do I want to leave him at the house or I want to get him here? So
how do you keep him legged up? Because there's got to be
I don't.
nothing.
I'm telling you, I don't.
That is wild. At that age to where
I
they start
don't.
losing density and muscle to
I
where he's
keep him
still
turned
staying.
out, and, you know, we feed him good. He's on Equinity and Purina, and he stays on alfalfa block, stays moving around. Now, Claxton, my little boy, he started riding him every day, but he just walks him around. And other than that, he don't get nothing. Like, seriously, I don't know. I just let him, you know, he'll trot around a little bit in the field. I figure the less stuff I do to him, the better off he is.
I do know that Equinity has done a lot for a lot of horses.
It's so good, man.
It's one of those when I started using it when I was getting cotton back,
Mhm.
I could see a huge difference right off the bat.
Yeah.
And you hear so many horses and so many fraternity guys that had certain other products, and all of a sudden now, because they've tried it and they've seen it,
Yeah.
and it has to be a big testament also too on what's keeping
it
his
is.
legs under him.
Well, I seen it, and I've told the story several times. Back the year Caleb won the American on him, he was using him that winter, and we was back and forth. I'd let him take him for whatever rodeos he needed to, and then he'd bring him back to me, and he had him on Equinity, and I didn't have him on none of that stuff. I'm like, I feed him grain, he gets alfalfa blocks. I mean, he's good. Well, he used to would just walk up there to the gate when you'd feed him. I mean, literally, like slow motion. Well, when he sent him back after the first time, he said, hey, he's on Equinity. Keep him on it. Carlos is bringing you some of that stuff. I'm like, all right, whatever. So he brung it. I didn't feed it to him. Kept him around, did whatever I did. Well, when he took him back, he said, did you have him on it? And I said, no, I didn't. So give me a little crap. Well, then he kept him for like 2 or 3 weeks that time. And when he come back, Chuck, I promise you, as long as I can remember transmission to that day, he would walk slow motion to the feed. When he come back and I went to feed him the next day that I had him back, he came running from the other side of the lot. He come running. I'm like, what in the heck? So I told the boy that helps me, Bryce, I said, hey, let's keep feeding him that
Enough
Equinity and
said.
see what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
And I swear to you, since that day, he's never been in slow motion again until he got sick before the finals this year. But it's just, he was sick. So
Mhm. Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen stiff horses that just barely move, and then you see them relax. And
Unreal.
It's something that you can definitely tell a difference. When,
no, it made me a believer.
especially when you
100%.
know one's older, you know one needs something, and also too is you know how stiff they get up and down that road. If there's something that they can get with the miles they get,
Right. Yeah, no, he's by far from sound. So any little thing like that helps. I mean, obviously it made him feel great. So whatever we got to do, keep him rolling. Just thank John Dowdy.
So when you get that win at the American, you get that $100,000. First off, talk a little about. I mean, it's the American.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Talk about that victory lap. Talk about then also too what a guy's going to do with that money, because it doesn't seem like it takes long. Even though it's six figures, it does go fast.
It goes so fast doing what we do. No, I wish they had just took us for a few laps around that Polaris, because one wasn't enough. It happens so fast. It's like it takes a little while for it to set in, I think. But it was definitely a victory lap we won't ever forget. And then getting to go up there and just sit on the stage and watch the rest of the rodeo, knowing that you did get the W. And it's a pretty good feeling. It's something that you work for your whole life. And it's like moments like that. That's what you're shooting for. So I don't know. It's kind of a feeling that you can't really describe, really and truly. It's like I done it. Like this is one thing, but then again, it ain't like we're quitting, so we can't stop there. You gotta, in this life, you got to keep looking forward to the next one, because the American of 2026, it's over. And you got to think of what's coming next. So that's kind of where I'm at, because I still got a lot of things in the future I want to achieve. So.
Well, you and Jade's partnership looks like it fits, and when I watched you and Jake Long, it was real strong too, where you got two guys right there that where they're going to throw.
Yeah.
Just like Jade had to be 4.9, still was able to make sure it hit that 4.8 mark.
That's right.
And, as we talk about Jade, roping with him for the last year, man, going through a lot right now. Yeah. It's been special to see the journey that he's been on. His podcast we had drops today, so it's going to be wild. And
I can imagine.
But I'm telling you, like I texted him the day after we did our podcast, and I said, man, Kid Rock, we both kind of emulated a little bit of our career after him. Right. Mine not as much as his, but like that, there was a lot of songs, man, that I just repeated what he did. Right. Not intentionally, but that's just kind of the part of the love and drink and fight and cowboy era was a little bit rock star kind of feel to it. And his was more than mine. And, when you think about what Kid Rock did, from the cocky era to the, American Badass to, all the things that he did in his earlier career, early morning Stone Cold Pimp, all that stuff, And then this year at the Super Bowl comes out as Bobby Ritchie and sings one of Kojo's songs and put Jesus in the last verse. And I told him, I said, the impact that Kid Rock just made right there, that brought probably more people closer to God than almost most pastors have ever even come close to doing.
Yeah, he did more than he could imagine.
I said, your story's got that same feel. Seeing where Jade is now from the U.S. finals to now, it's been phenomenal.
No, it is, and it's been pretty cool. Obviously, getting a rope with Jade, it's been great, but to be a part of it during this part of his life, it's been pretty cool, to see everything, and I mean, it's crazy. I mean, once you accept, then let the Lord in your life, it's crazy how things can happen, and it's crazy. Like me and Jay's talked a lot of things. It's like, and I'm far from a preacher, but it's crazy to think about it in the past. Like he said, how many times, how many different signs there was, like, hey man, I'm here, I'm trying to help you, but at that point, you don't see it that way. Now he does. He understands it a lot better, and it's like he's been just sitting here waiting to help out the whole time, but the time had to be right, and I guess now's the time. And to get to be around Jade and be a part of it during all this, man, it's awesome, because I feel like we're more than just partners, and we're family, and I want the best for him too.
Yeah, I've been proud of him, and it's going to be a hard road. It is and stuff, but I mean, the impact that he made with the story he told in his life is going to turn so many people towards Jesus. There's going to be kids that hopefully he scares the crap out of them. They never go that route. And then also, too, there's going to be guys that are fighting that same battle where, hey, look, man, look what this guy did. Look how he did it. He's going to be able to pull more people with his testimony than kind of like Kid Rock, more than most preachers get to do in life.
No, I get it. And I've been getting it every day. So I'm just not podcasting it. I get it every single day from him. So it's helped me a lot too, So
Well, he told me the other day that you broke out somewhere and he said he laughed out of the arena. I'm
Yeah,
like,
he
wait,
did.
you did what?
He
I mean,
did.
I know we ain't talked in 11 years. We've
He
had
did.
beef. We had a lot of beef and stuff. And it was nice after that podcast to be able to finally get that out of the way.
He told me, he said, hey, that don't matter. Our end goal, we're still going to get it.
Mm-hmm.
He said, that's just part of it. He said, that's just part of the whole plan. Forget about it. And I'm like, no, I get it. But I broke out. We shouldn't have. We should have won this rodeo. And he's like, I'm telling you, it don't even matter, is what he told me. And I'm like,
how cool is that?
I hope you're right, is all I can think.
Well, how cool is that? Because that wasn't him. Even before, when he was a young kid, I think there was so much pressure. You know, he had Matt Tyler heading
Right.
for him, and he had so many things going on. When he would miss, ropes would be in the trees,
That's
you know,
right.
and I wasn't much better,
Mhm.
and I struggled with it. And then I'm sure down that road, the stuff that he was doing amplified it.
Right.
And then to hear him now say, no, I laughed out of the
It's-
arena. I'm like,
and
how did you
it's
do
genuine too. Like when he says it, you can tell he means it. Like, hey, listen, it's all right. He said, I'm telling you, our end goal, we're still gonna be all right. This is just all part of it.
that? And I asked him, I said, so that young kid that's struggling, that has a problem with defeat, because there's some kids that it's hard on.
It's hard
on me.
That's right.
You know, what would you tell that kid? And he's like, God. I'm like, that's amazing. That's amazing, because like for both of us back then to be able to know that someone can say that, hey, this trust right here will take all this
Mm-hmm.
this amplified hurt that you're feeling away,
And take
to
it away.
trust, to be able to, I mean, how much easier is your life going to be to be able
That's
to
right.
let it go?
That's right. He
So pretty cool.
somebody called me the other day, and it's kind of funny. I'll tell it. He said, so what about your partner? And I said, oh, what about him? You know? And he said, well, I told such and such. He said, Jade's already the best there is. He said, now him and God's together too. Like, we don't stand a chance, is what he told me. And I just laughed. I thought it was funny as could
It's
be.
pretty true.
It is true.
Pretty true.
It is. It's very true.
Yeah, that's a good statement. Well, we talked about Nashville. That one coming into town. That one's been. I'm pumped to start seeing more. I hope more rodeos start showing up.
How
in the
awesome
East.
is that rodeo?
Oh.
I mean, literally, you walk out the doors and you're on the strip. Country music. I mean,
Theo
it's everywhere.
was there.
I mean, that is rank.
Yeah.
It might be my favorite rodeo, and I only got to go last year in the slack. But the atmosphere and all that that's over there, it's like, this is rank. This is what
I've always thought
rodeo
an
should be.
NFR could be there.
It could
because you got the stars, you got so much, you got the fans, you got tourists, you got it has everything. You know, the country western come together.
It's there.
You're starting to see that there.
Yep.
You know, what could Memphis do?
No,
What
same
could
way.
what could some of these places like NASCAR fans and stuff like that back east? Like, I mean, you think about all the fresh money, new money that's out there.
There's so much over there too.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, Nashville, all over there in Tennessee. There's tons of money, and I truly think that them guys could do the same thing. I'm not going to say to the same extent, but close to it as the Texas Swing of Rodeos, because there's several rodeos over there. Franklin, you know, in Nashville, and you got Clarksville. You could do one in Memphis, like you said. I mean, it could be done, and like I said, it's a cool atmosphere over that way.
How cool would it be to have one in Talladega?
Oh, dude,
You
what?
know, all the racetracks
During the
you know.
race.
Oh, what?
That would
Because
be
you
fun.
could. I mean, that's what I think the Hondo, in my opinion, is doing a great job of.
Absolutely.
Is they're bringing entertainers and rodeo, and they're bringing a new audience to rodeo.
And I think the greatest thing too, Chuck, is their entertainers they bring, they're the best.
Mhm.
Hondo, man, they're in a league of their own. It's hats off them guys, and I hope it continues to grow, and I hope people stay behind it and more get behind it, because they want the best for the rodeo guys and for rodeo. And I hope, like I said, I hope getting well everybody stays behind it and more to come, because they're doing an amazing
Mhm.
job.
Yeah, rodeo. The future looks bright. It really does.
It
And
does.
I think that there's a lot of things that are creating more opportunity for you guys, more audience. They're creating a bigger audience. I'm pumped. I think
Right.
it's gonna be pretty cool to watch. Talk about now is it's about to be game time.
It's about to be game
Walt
time.
Woodard, I loved it, man. When we used to go to Reno, everyone's excited at Reno back in the day.
Everybody.
Because like now it's different. It's a little bit different now. But back in the day, Reno was everyone's going to make the NFR.
Yeah.
Everyone entered is going to have a great 4th of July.
Yeah.
You know, the atmosphere at Reno was always high. And it probably what made it one of the most fun rodeos of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember all the guys, I remember Walt Woodard, they're like, man, you excited for this? And he goes, oh yeah, of course I'm excited. He says, so what's it like? All these young kids are like, what's it like going out there? He goes, adults only.
Adults only.
Because once Reno starts, he says, this is where the cream rises to the crop. He says, this is where the adults show up. He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. That guy's so cool, ain't he? I got to spend a little time with him. He's pretty neat.
One of the greatest storytellers ever.
He's so good at it. Eating ice cream and telling stories. He's pretty good at it. But yeah, I mean, he ain't wrong. I mean, when Reno comes around, it's like a whole different mentality kicks in.
Well, nowadays it's even earlier because it looks like now you got some really good rodeos before that. They're starting to step up. You got Napa earlier.
And they're earlier. Mm-hmm. They used to be after Reno. But
you got Vernal. Right. You got Sisters now stepping up at $30,000.
That's right.
Man, there's some good ones. So talk about where you guys headed from here now before you get to Reno before the summer starts.
Yeah, honestly, man, the summer now, we were talking about it last year. It's almost like every week during the summer now is 4th of July. There's so much money to win every single week. Just because you have a bad week, say 4th of July, that don't mean the week after, Casper, Sheridan, all that mess. You can win just as much that week as you can during the 4th of July. So we'll start out right there. We're actually starting Weatherford, Woodward, hit Monticello, Utah. And then you got Eagle, Idaho is really good. Driggs, Idaho stepped up. That's going to be an awesome rodeo this year.
$25,000.
$25,000.
Side.
First year. I mean, it's unreal. So we'll go to Driggs and then over to Sisters, Klamath Falls, and then Union. We have a huge week. We go to more rodeos the first week we leave than we've been to all year.
Yeah.
And and I think the littlest rodeo we're going to go to is 5,000 added, and it's only one of them. Everything after that is 10,000 and above. It's going to be good,
Well, it's one of those things that I feel like the committee started understanding is it's kind of like that Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come.
They'll come.
If you add the money, they'll come.
They'll come.
And they're starting to find out now because there's rodeos that I don't even know where they're coming up with this money.
That's right.
And it almost eliminates a little bit of that panic in trades. Mm-hmm. Or if you get drawed out.
Yeah,
because now it's like if you get drawed out, like there's another one.
There's another one. That's right.
Used to, like, you couldn't afford to miss some of these rodeos.
That's right. That's exactly right. That goes back like Nashville this year. We didn't get to go. There was something more important. Jade ended up staying with Kelton at the junior high state finals.
Sweet.
Is
that in Gonzales?
In Gonzales, yeah. And you can't get that back. They're going to have Nashville next year, but eventually Kelton will be old enough he don't get to go there. Mm-hmm. So we felt like it was more important that Jade that stayed, and we skipped it. But also, the way we looked at it is, hey, there's another rodeo that's a great rodeo. There's plenty of them coming. So you go do that. But that's where we're at in the rodeo world now. There's so many good rodeos out there.
Well, and that's where it looks like a guy can start getting into it. That's where I did better because of started feeling like momentum. Mm-hmm. Like once you started getting, now you're away from home.
That's right.
You're away from the home distractions. You're away from all the jack.
You're there strictly to
You're 100% in now. And so you start making some good runs, start getting into a rhythm.
That's right.
You can keep it going.
Because
there's rodeo. I remember there was some years that I remember July, I think we had 5 days off. August, I think 3.
Right.
That's
right.
And that was back in the 85 rodeos that one year. I think maybe might have been the year you and I were buddied with Arky.
Yeah.
Because there was you could go to one and you could get into a rhythm.
No, you can.
If you missed, you kind of get back into it on the next one.
Right.
You're not sitting there marinated on after San Antonio and got 2 weeks again before you run another one.
That's right. And that's how I look at it too. I want to go to the main rodeos in the winter and then come back to the house. But when I leave here in June, I don't want a day off. I want to go to a rodeo every day and I want to get in a rhythm, and I know I'm there strictly to rope and try to win, and there's no distractions. Here at home, I might come home and I might be planting food plot for a few days for deer or something, for some hunting. But when I leave for the summer, it's like, I'm here to rope, and we got one goal in mind. Let's do what we got to do to get it done.
And I remembered when it was game time come Reno, I mean, my alarm's going off 10 times a day.
That's right.
Between entering, checking the books, you're just consumed.
Yep, you're consumed.
You're consumed about where you're going, where you're headed, entries, rigs, horses.
That's right.
It's just it's such a consumption of it because once that starts, I mean, you don't know who the president is, nor do you care.
You don't care.
There's no conversations a guy has outside of hardly just team roping.
That's all.
Rodeo.
That's all.
And a lot of times the roping's actually the easiest part. getting all the logistics and all the planning and sending this rig here, sending that rig here, getting this horse over here, getting traded over here. You know, after a while, that consumed you so much where once you're back in the box, you're like, oh, finally, like this I've been practicing for.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. I'm bad about it, man. When I get out there, I'm strictly in on that's what we're doing. I mean, to a sense, I don't even answer the phone to people back home because I get to talking, you know, I get on the phone all day and hear about what they're doing over there and this and that, and I'm wishing I was over there, or get to thinking about all that instead of my main priority, what I'm out there to do. I just get off track. So it's like I almost go MIA for 3 months from, you know, everybody I'm close to, but it is what I do.
I've had some of my best friends like, dude, you don't hardly talk to me like what it is. It's funny how that works. You almost get zoned.
Yeah, it ain't that I don't want to talk to you. You know, obviously when I get back home, hey, I'm right back where we left off. But when I'm out there, it's like I'm out here for one reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, winning takes a lot of focus, man. It takes a lot of sacrifice, and it takes a lot of your time.
It does.
And,
it does.
You know, I think a guy's good friends are always there. They're always going to be there, and after a while too, they start understanding.
They do,
because
the ones that don't, you know what? They wasn't your true friend. See you later.
And another thing is too, it's not for everybody.
That's right.
That's where you start seeing two guys that go out there and they're like, whoa. This is way
all these
more,
people that think we live on vacation.
This is way more than it looks like on reels on social media.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I've heard that so much. Oh, you rodeo, you live on vacation. I'm like, yeah, I do.
Jump in.
I do.
Well, I'd like to talk about Florida because when you came from Florida.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's in the swamp water down there. When you talk about Speedy, you talk about the Torreses, you talk about the Esquizas, you coming from there, man, there's been some legends come out of that state. First of all, I'm a fan of that state.
Me too. I love it down there.
But man, I'm telling you, some guys that come from there that are record book guys.
Right.
You know, so what is it coming up there from Florida? And also, what was some of the stuff you growing up as you started roping?
Man, I think, you know, I think the guys that come from Florida that do make it out here, the ones that have been so great, because, I mean, Florida, it ain't just a state over. It's a long ways over there. So, and rodeo's it's not real. I mean, it is big, but it ain't big. It's big for our little circle that's over there. But the guys that stick with it and want it, you know, and truly love it and are passionate for it, the ones that come on, they've worked their butts off to try to get here and to compete, because we know when we get out here, you know, we're just another fish in a big old pond. So it's like you work your butt off at home to try to be the best you can be. And a lot of kids back home, you know, they think they want it. They don't want it. And then they end up, it peters out and they start fishing or hunting or mud bogging or whatever it is over there, you know, hog hunting. But the guys that rope and rodeo over there, the ones that do come out here and make it, it's the ones that really loved it back that way, and they sacrificed everything to do what it took to get here. So when you do hear, I feel like when you do see somebody from back over there and you're like, dang, they can rope. Well, they sacrificed a lot and they put in a lot of time and work and effort to get there. I mean, it's hard over there. I mean, it's here. You can go to, in a 30-minute radius, you can go to all the jackpots you want. Over there, it's unheard of. I mean, you drive, you know, a few hours just to go to the slides. And so I feel like if you don't really love it, you kind of get where it's like you're over it and you go on to something else, because not everybody ropes and rodeos over there. It's not the lifestyle over there. But when you get out here, that's what everybody does. So, you know, I feel like looking up, you know, and another thing for like me and the Torreses and Dustin and Driggers, we had Speedy. We had Brad Culpepper, you know, them guys, that was our idols. We looked up to them and they set a high bar for us to work towards. And
well, I'm going to have Speedy on the podcast and I'll torture him till he comes on. So that's going to be fun to get him on, because that guy was truly a legend. I mean, there was no one better. No one transformed heading like that guy did. Mm-hmm. But you talk about a winner. You talk about someone that knows, like, we talk high team roping IQ. Yeah. Talk a little about Chili Pepper,
man,
because that guy
was so good. You know,
is legit when it comes time to talking about roping. I can't wait to I got to get him on too.
You got to get him on here. He's good at talking too. So you got to pull it out of him a little bit. But once he starts, he'll tell you. But Brad didn't miss, man. and and it was unreal. Like he wrote with Speedy back whenever they first started, and then he went on and wrote with Jimmy Tanner and a lot of the greats. But Brad was something, I got to spend a lot of time with him as well. Caleb spent more time with him than I did, obviously, but me and Caleb was around each other a lot. So then I got where I would go up there. And actually, Brad had a lot to do with my head. And he told me for a long time as a kid when I was up there, he's like, man, you should head. There's so much more opportunity for a great header, and you could do it. Well, I'm stuck in the healing mode, but which was great because I got to be around him and seeing how he done it, and it helped me with my healing a lot too. But he did, it's Brad Culpepper was, in my books, was one of the greatest healers to ever do it. And he's from right up the road over there in Georgia, and it's pretty neat to got to be around him and seeing how he worked at it, because that guy loved it too.
Hi, I'm Trevor Brazil.
My name's Corey Kuntz.
Hi, I'm Gino Nogueira.
I'm Luke Brown.
Hi, I'm Tyler Wade.
I'm Caleb Driggers.
Miles Baker.
Wesley Thorpe.
Paul Eves.
Patrick Smith.
We ask so much out of our horses that recovery is crucial, and that's why I use Equinety.
I've been doing this a long time. What I have in common with these ropers is we all trust Equinety.
I feed Equinety because I want to give my horses any edge.
My horse. My horse.
My horse.
My horse.
All my horses have the Equinety edge.
We'll talk a little about his strategy, because the guy you talk about high team roping IQ. The guy studied it. He could see it. There's so much knowledge that he had, and keeping, kind of an idea of because he was out there.
Right.
He'd seen it. He'd made it.
Yep.
He did everything. He rode with Speedy. He rode with Jimmy Tanner. Jimmy Tanner goes to the NFR twice, wins the NFR both times. And then Speedy, we all know what that guy did. So, I mean, he was able to soak that in.
He soaked it in.
So then when he could almost coach the header.
Yeah.
He was a great coach, it looked like, from the heel box.
That's right. He got to be behind, some of the greatest quarterbacks there was. So he knew what it was like and what it took to win. And he's very smart with it, and he loved it, and he studied it, like you said. So therefore, Caleb coming up, he could tell Caleb, he could help him with certain things. And I was around it. I got to sit there and listen, their practice sessions and when they first started roping, and up before that, when me and Caleb was still in school, Brad would tell us, little things or here and there.
What were those little things?
Man, it was little things that we wouldn't even think of. For instance, I can always remember him telling Caleb, break, when you break out there, break a little wider, so when you hit it and you put it on the horns, you already had it tight and you stepped out and you just led that steer. I remember that clear as day for some reason, because it was like he tried to mold that into Caleb when we were young. It was like, hey, when you hit them, you be out there a little bit wider, that way you pick them up, and it just kind of fluffed them or feathered them around there, and Brad would just go the inside, and he didn't miss them. It was game over. But then he put that with Caleb's reaching as well, and it's like unstoppable. But I think that goes back to, he was around Speedy, that brung the reaching game into the heading world. And then he was with Jimmy Tanner, that had super fast and good head horses. Biggin was one of the best to ever do it. And Jimmy T was so great at rolling up there and sticking it on them with a fast head horse and laying them up. So he combined the two worlds. And then he was trying to help us and coach us to be the greatest, which, like I said, I was a healer at the time, but I was just sitting around soaking up what he was putting out there. And there's little things like that still stick in my mind. And I don't talk to Brad as much as we used to, but it's like nowadays when we start talking, we'll talk for an hour or so. And he's one of them good friends, you know what I'm saying? It's like you don't talk to him, but then when you do finally see him, it's like you never quit talking. You never quit talking. And, I'll always appreciate everything.
I forgot one year we were flying back and forth, renting cars on our way somewhere, and him and I talked for hours. Yep. And it was one of the funnest rides because his breakdown ability and the stuff he's seen, and it was cool, man. It was fun because, like you say, he's seen so many different types of headers,
so many, and
he studied the run. He knew where that steer needed to be to be healed, and I enjoyed old Chili Pepper, man, and funny. Gosh, dog.
He's hilarious.
Gosh, he makes me laugh.
I've had some of the best times ever with that guy.
I've had some fun times with everybody down there where you guys are from, man. And I truly, truly enjoy that part of the woods, where guys, or the swamps, I guess, from where you're talking about. But it's pretty cool to see some of just the grit. Like when you guys show up, like I say, it's hard to get from there out here.
It is,
and so when you do,
that's right.
you know, it looks like you guys learn the long game after a while, but boy, when it shortens up, you're just ahead of the game.
Yeah, that's kind of our game. Whenever we first come from down there, you know, everything's short. I mean,
I remember Frank Graves.
Frank Graves was good too.
When Monty Joe cracked him out on that run in buckskin or dun or whatever it was, and he struggled a little bit on them long school, but when he got it, gosh,
he could do it.
Yeah,
and he was really good. Short setups, he could stick. Golly, he was so good. But yeah, everybody down that way, there ain't much cares given down there really.
When did you start roping? And did you head, you heel, rope calves? What all did you do when you first started?
I've been roping my whole life, as far as I can remember, you know. Yes, I headed and heeled. Like I said, growing up back that way, there wasn't many open ropings, Chuck. Like when you went to a roping, it was a slide. That was the open. So when you showed up, you headed, you heeled. Lots of round robins when I was a kid growing up, all the way up till, you know, heck, my early 20s. You'd show up and there'd be a round robin 4-header, and there'd be 25 on each side. And you'd show up with a head horse and a heel horse, and you'd rope. And it was fun, you know? And I feel like that's kind of what made like me and Caleb and Dustin and Torres is, you know, you showed up, you didn't know what you was fixing to rope behind or what you was going to head for. I mean, it's just, you went there to rope because you loved to rope. But I roped a lot of calves growing up. I had a really, really good calf horse later on. And I actually wanted to rope calves and try to make it healing. And my dad had told me, he said, you need to pick one. He said, because the only way you're going to be able to get one of them really good partners, he said, you're going to have to be dedicated to either healing, or if you want a calf rope, go calf rope. But if you want a team rope, you're going to have to put it all in. He said, you ain't never made it, and you're going to have to do it that way. Well, he said, and then after you make it, if you want to rope calves, we'll do it. But it's just been one thing after another, and kind of the calf roping faded away. But I roped just as many calves as I healed steers growing up. I loved it, but it's all right. It's just part of the past.
Talk about when you first started coming out. I think you and Arky.
Yeah.
Rogers, you guys came out a bunch. You guys kind of came from the same area.
We did.
And
you know,
I
owe a lot to
together.
Arky, honestly. And it never gets brung up really, but I owe a lot to Arky. Because my younger years, as a kid, I went to elementary school I went to public school up till elementary was over. Well, Arky, he would come pick me up out of school. I mean, he lived 5 miles down the road. His dad and them, he'd build him a covered arena. We could rope rain or shine, me or him. I'd head him steers all day, and then at the end, he'd head me up in. And but yeah, so growing up, you know, that was kind of my deal. Arky, he spent a lot of time with me. He would come out here and spend a lot of time with Tyler Magnus in the summertime, and then he would come back, you know, and then he would show me all the stuff that he learned. So I was around all that, and it helped me a ton. And then it was kind of like me and Caleb, we roped from junior rodeo. Caleb's 2 years older than me, up until high school. We youth rodeoed, and we'd go amateur rodeoing together and all that mess. And then when he turned 18, he went on the road with Brad. So I was still at home and piddled around. When I first turned 18, I got my permit and heeled for Nelson, for Nelly and Linares, and messed around. And then when I got my card, Arky had actually asked me to rope, and I was like, well, this would be great, you know, because he was always like a big brother to me growing up. And so we went on, and we did pretty good together. And
what was it like once you come out of Florida and then you started going all these rodeos? Talk a little about the eye-opening experience.
Yeah.
What were you starting to learn? Because we're talking about stuff now, even when we're talking about in our era, it's not like you got to see all these setups.
No.
There wasn't the Cowboy Channel. A lot of these kids now are almost knowing the setups and what these rodeos are like because they're getting to watch them. Didn't get to watch them.
Right.
The only way back then you got to experience it, you had to go.
You had to go.
So talk a little about when you got out there and you're like, whoa.
Yeah,
it was different than I thought.
It was different. You know, growing up, I didn't high school rodeo. I did it 1 year. But other than that, I amateur rodeo. Me and Caleb, we went all the amateur rodeos and all that. So then when I finally got out and went on the road for the first time, I felt like I had IRA rodeoed. I did this and that. I went all up north. I felt like I knew how to win pretty good for my age, for a kid. So when I got out there, it was eye opening, but I had to adapt. And it almost goes back to what we was talking about when we leave for the summer. When I leave, I'm there to win, strictly rope and do what it takes to win. So if I stayed out there when I first went with Arky and them, other than I like to come home a lot when I first left because I'm a homebody. I love Florida. I'll be there when I'm done rodeoing. But it's like if I stayed there in the mix of it, I adapted. No matter what, we might not win first at every rodeo, but I was going to win something. Somehow I was going to work at it. And there's a lot of them I didn't win nothing. But in my mind, I was going to win something. And it was eye-opening to get out there and get amongst it. Because then when I would go home, I felt like it gave me something else to work at, something different than the rodeos and the lifestyle that we knew back east. It was like, hey, them guys out there, they do it like this. And it's hard. The hardest part was getting somebody else over there to do it with you because they don't understand it neither. And it was like, man, and that's what it come down to at the end. It's like, if I'm going to do this, I got to go out there. I got to stay in Texas or wherever it was, but Florida, it was like Florida does as much as it can do for you. And then you got to go out there and get in the mix up because like you said, nowadays you can see it on the Cowboy Channel, but you're watching on TV. It ain't like being in the mix of it. You got to go and be a part of it, and that's the only way to get where you want to be,
Because it seemed like it took you a little bit from when you and Arky came
It
out
did.
when you got your card to where 2018 rolls around. How many years was that?
I won the rookie in 2012, so 6 years,
Terrible.
But in the meantime,
there was a lot of curves right there, wasn't there?
There was a lot of curves. I was still a kid. I loved to hunt. I loved to fish. Like I said, I love home. So I can remember winning the George Strait in 2014 with Sherwood, and he had told me before it. He said, hey, listen, I need to go home and I need to go to work. I need to make some money, this and that. So it goes on, we win the George Strait. And he said, hey, you want to go rodeo? I said, no, sir. I went home and hung out. I bought me some mama cows, and I piddled around. I headed, goofed around, did whatever I want to do, just because I still had a lot of kid in me. I wanted to be at the house. If I wanted to go hog hunting or whatever it was, that's what I went and did. I didn't like being away from home, so it did. I truly had it down inside. Rodeoing's what I wanted to do, but then also I had all these other little things I wanted to do. I had to make myself commit to be here because, like I said, it's a long ways from Florida to here, and it's a big commitment. And that's what I told Chelsea Schaefer in 2018 when I made it. She said, Clint, what was the difference? And I said, I finally committed myself to doing it. And she said, well, what do you mean by that? And I said, well, I've always loved to rope and wanted to be here doing it. I said, but this year was different. I left after Christmas, and I won't go back till Christmas. And I'm going to go wherever I got to go, and I'm going to do whatever I got to do to get to the NFR. I put too much time of my life into this to just keep doing what I'm doing. I'm to the point in my life I got to do something.
It's funny what you say that because I spent so many years committed. When I first started, it took me 10 years to make it. And when I started getting around those guys, that's what I could see. I could see that eye of the tiger.
Right.
There was nothing else that was distracting them. It was,
They
were committed.
That's right.
And I remember going through that. And then, man, once I made it in 05, till the time 2020 rolled around, it was 100% year in, year out, totally committed.
Yep.
I didn't hunt. I didn't fish. I didn't know anything other than shoeing horses, riding horses, roping, fixing tires, changing tires.
Yeah.
That was stuff that, that's all I knew. And then when I'm retired, I'm like, I don't even almost know how to enjoy anything else. I almost have to learn. So now I've been trying to go do the stuff you're talking about.
Right.
Because there is so much more to life after rodeo.
There is.
But that's where I can see back then too was being able to oh man, there's so much more to just roping.
Mm-hmm.
I want to enjoy life
That's
too.
right.
But then when you commit, then you realize, oh man, it's hard to do anything else other than just this.
Just this. Well, and I'm still that way, truly. I can't, man, I really can't. And I guess it's just the way I grew up. If I stay here and pound it in my head too much, I get to overthinking it. like just the other day, me and Jay, we ain't had the biggest winter. We've plucked along. We won a little here and there. And then I told him,
Now
I said,
PRCA.
PRCA, that's right.
The American was
with the
pretty
American,
good.
yeah, but that's what I'm leading up to too as well. But for the American right here, I told him I've been in Florida. I went to Florida for 3 weeks, and I've been down there gator hunting and just whatever I want to do, just at the house. And mentally, it's a refresher for me because I grew up doing all that stuff. Like I said, I love hunting. If I ain't roping, I'm hunting. And out here, I don't do that. I just strictly rope. And I felt like mentally I was needing it. And I told Jay the other day when I come back, I said, we were talking about something, and I said, well, I'm ready. I said, because this little break has done more for me mentally than you can imagine. And it's like I'm refreshed. I'm ready to rock and roll. And I don't know, so many people, there's so many kids that's growing up, and they're great, don't get me wrong, but they don't know that there's anything other than rope. Therefore, I'm a kid from Florida that, roping, that was just a hobby to people down there.
Well, and I think everyone's wired differently.
They are.
For me, there was times I knew I needed a recharge. There was something that you could feel that there needs to be something else.
Yes, sir.
And some people can just stay.
And I'm not that person.
Yeah.
Because
for me, if I stay that way too long, I can feel the burnout.
I can too, and that's me. And I always knew, like I said, I always had something else to go do, so I was never burned out. I was ready to go rope at all times. But since I
even
moved,
talked about Dennis Rodman on that. One of my favorite documentaries is The Last Dance with Michael Jordan.
Yeah,
and it talked about Rodman. Rodman would need time where he needed to go.
Yeah,
because once he went and blew the steam off and came back, he was like a new person.
Right. Well, that's kind of how I feel, honestly. And sometimes you got to get away, man. Which them kids that grew up here in Stephenville, the new generation that's coming up, Tyler and Braylon and Colby, Nikki, all them guys, they're amazing. Their talent with roping is unreal. I think that they'll take team roping to a whole nother level. You'll see it through them. But them guys, they don't know nothing but rope. And hey, that's great, because they're going to be the greatest that's ever done it. But when I get done, I'm going to rope a little bit, I'm sure, and ride horses and stuff. But there's a lot of other things I like to do as well. And unfortunately, rodeo is just a job.
Well, there's a balance, I think, and that's cool to be able to have that for sure, 100%.
Yep.
So when you've been healing from when you first started out there, talk about that horse, because you had a great heel horse for a long time.
I did. I had a little buckskin I rode, and I won the straight on him. I rode him all through youth rodeo up till when I first started rodeoing. He wasn't the fastest, but he was dang sure he was solid. He'd get me to the same spot every time, this and that, and he was good for me for a long time. And then whenever I started healing and I got out here, I bought me a little sorrel that was very good. And actually, I rode him when me and you roped, and that's the horse I made the finals on the first year.
Smurf, right?
Smurf, Yep. And he was awesome. And it goes back to when I actually seen that horse. It's weird. In 2012, me and Archie lived in Llano, and Brad Thurman owned him. And I remember him back then.
That's right.
And I was like, man, that horse is so good. But, seeing Mr. Brad ride him back then, he was young. And when I finally committed, told myself I'd do it, my dad told me, he said, well, if you're going to commit and you're going to do it, I'll buy you whatever heel horse you want. And I'd always loved that horse. So I called a buddy of mine, Ruben Gonzalez. I said, hey, you reckon Brad would sell that horse? So we get in the middle of it, this and that, and Mr. Brad ends up selling him to me. But it goes back to, 2012, I seen him, and then I took my little break or goofed off, whatever I did, and then 18, I got that horse, and it was a lot of things changed. Mentally, I committed, and then everything started falling in place.
We'll talk about roping with Rogers, because when we talk about a gamer, we talk about a guy, man, he's black and white, and he's a winner.
He's a winner.
The dude knows how to win.
Yeah.
He rides, he hits the barrier, and to me, like a machine.
He's
just turn them. Know where the money's at, know how to get that steer caught, where the money's at, giving you consistent looks. Talk about that summer when you're out there roping with Rogers, what you learned when you were able to get around that guy in the rig that just knows how to win.
Yeah. No, he's one of the great quarterbacks, of this game. I learned so much from Rogers. I really did. You know, as being a kid and getting in with him, I was thinking there was a lot of things he said to me. I'm like, oh, this guy's a butthole, you know, or whatever. But now I look back on it, and I'm thankful for everything that we did and our year we roped together. But yeah, it was pretty cool. You know, I thought I was kicking off that year. I got to rope with you in the winter, and your back was a little messed up, and this and that, and then I got to rope with him. So that whole year was a big learning experience for me, which I got to my first finals too. But that guy was so smart about winning. Just like I told you before the podcast, we went through a little slump right when we first started roping, and I roped some legs, and maybe he missed some, this and that, and he was kind of, you know, he was upset and tight about it because he had to make the finals. That's the way he made his living, and he had to get there. And it's like, I've gave this kid a chance, and it ain't working. I got to do something different. So he told me, he said, I'm gonna do something different. You know, thanks for roping. It was at Salt Lake. Well, I drove all night to Cheyenne. And he called me at 7 o'clock the next morning, and he said, you still awake? And I said, yeah, I drove all night, you know. I said, I've been trying to figure out a partner because we still had a chance to make the finals. And he said, well, I'm coming, and I want to talk to you when I get there. I was at Bambi's. I actually went to try another heel horse I bought. I bought a heel horse named Junior from Ty Arnold that morning. I rode him. I always wanted that horse, and Ty was done or whatever. And so he said, okay, well, I want to talk. When he gets over there, we talk, and he said, hey, listen, this is how this works. He said, if I turn them for money, you got to rope 2 feet. That's all there is to it. He said, and he had told me, he said, I gave you this chance because I knew you could do it. He said, so I don't want to quit roping, but if I turn them for money, you got to rope 2 feet. And I was like, all right, yeah, I'll do it. Whatever I got to do, just give me a chance. And I'm telling you, from then on, Charlie, it was $10,000. We won $10,000. It seemed like every week, but it was little things, you know, like we'd go to the rodeos and certain deals, like we were talking about, it wasn't always having to win first. Eric's a winner, you know, and you know, if we could just go make a solid run and win 4th or 5th and win $2,000, that's what we did. And you know, as a kid, just going out there and never making the finals, I'm thinking, well, we need to win. You know, this guy, he's done got on my butt. We got to win first. No, that wasn't what it was about. It was about steadily making our run no matter what and adapting to whatever we had to do to win some money at every single rodeo to get to the finals. And that year, a lot of that broke through to me because I did think, you know, never making it, you got to win. I feel like you had to win first or second or you wasn't going to make the finals. And he taught that to me, and it's, man.
So is that kind of what it was like the first few months you roped? Too much pressure, trying to win too much,
Yeah.
and then having that experience, like, look, this is what we got to do.
Right. Well,
this
I mean,
right here.
he won the world the year before.
And then being able to relax, or what was it? You know what I'm saying? That's what you're trying to find is like, how did it start? What was that flip?
Right.
The switch that was flipped. And then, because once you guys did, because I remember seeing you, I think it was after, or maybe it was right before Cheyenne. I can't remember. It was right in around that area.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, we had to talk. And he was just like, man, if I just do this and catch 2 feet, and like, we're going to do it.
That's
there
what
was
he told
something
me.
to the conversations we had about basically the leadership talk that he had, even though it was probably
Right.
black and white.
No, it was very
straight
black and
to
white,
the point.
and that's fine.
But there was something after that to where it was like, almost like, okay, this is my job. I know I can do this, because
Right.
I started seeing a belief in you
No,
to
there
where it
was.
almost like there's too much pressure you're putting, where you're focused on shit that didn't matter. And
was.
then all of a sudden, there was a team.
There
team
was.
was built come August, it looked like.
He, like I said, there was a lot of it at first. You know, he won the world the year before. He wrote with Corey Petska for however long. He wrote with some of the greatest. So here I am, a kid that's never made it. I'm thinking, I got big shoes to fill. And I felt like I could do it. But then again, I was struggling. I was roping legs I shouldn't rope. That one more swing, I don't rope a leg, but I'm trying to do things I shouldn't. And it was very black and white. And when we got our confidence together. It was good, you know. It was good for me because my dad's real black and white, and that's how I grew up. You know, it was pretty strict. You know, you do this, you do that, and there wasn't. You could always do better. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you did good, and inside, that's how my dad is. He wants to tell you, but he wants to push you to be a little better too. So I kind of got the same vibe from Rogers. At first, he didn't say a word. He let me do my deal. I was just just his healer. And then it was like, okay, we were to the point he had to get my attention. And when he did, it all
Game
came
on.
together. It was game on. We made the finals. San Juan, we had the finals made. I can remember healing the steer at San Juan. We went second over there, and we rode out the back of the arena, get off and loosen him up and give me a hug. You know, he said, I'm pretty sure we did it. And I'm like, just that little bit of
Talk
time.
about that feeling.
Oh,
Because that's why people can't retire.
That feeling
That one
there,
right there.
I don't know. Honestly, the American's pretty big win, but that feeling was pretty unreal. Just, I can remember riding back to
You did.
Kennewick.
You dreamt about it
That's
your
right.
whole life.
That's
you grew up
right.
your whole life. So that's the moment you all dream. Everyone dreams about that one.
Yep. You know, obviously the year ain't over, but he said pretty much, and I believed him. He's like, we got it made. So I rode back to Kennewick, and I'm like, I just made the finals. You know, I can't believe it. You know, and then for that, you have that feeling all the way up till the finals. And then when you finally run your first year at the finals, you're like, holy cow. No, it's really set in now. But it's like you finally achieved what you work at your whole life, other than a gold buckle. And
Well, you make the NFR Heelan in 2018.
mm-hmm.
One of the few guys that made the finals, Hedden and Heelan.
Yes, sir.
So there was a gap between 2018 till 2021. Talk a little bit about kind of where that gap is, because now you went from Heelan,
Yep.
then you start Hedden. When did all that transformation kind of start, and what was the decision to finally
So
feel like you're going to start Hedden?
2019, me and Eric started out. We won a little bit, and he had a deal come about where he could take another deal, and he started roping somebody else. And I didn't know what I was going to do, really. That happened right after Houston. And called around to a few guys, wasn't sure. And me and Trevor, we were really tight. And I would stay over there and rope all the time. And he's like, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. Well, he'd kind of been after me as well. He's like, yeah, you ever thought about heading? I'm like, man, no. He's like, well, you know, just another option. You could think about heading, you know, that's not. And I was like, I don't know. Well, I'd been talking to Ren, and me and Ren's really good buddies, always have been. And when he finally told me he'd rope, I told Trevor, I said, I'm going to go rope with Ren, because Trevor stayed on me about this heading deal. And I said, I'm going to go rope with Ren, and if it don't work for some reason, I'll try the heading. And I said, but you're going to have to stay behind me. You're going to have to help. And he said, I will, obviously, you know. So we do. Charlie, is the worst summer I ever had in my life. Not worst, but far as winning. Me and Ren had a great time. We just didn't win nothing.
I think I seen 53rd in the world.
It was terrible. I'm telling you, we won like $2,500. It was absolutely terrible. So anyway, we're going to be done at Dodge. Ren flew over there, rode my head horse, and he said, hey, I ain't going to Spicer Grip. We were entered at it. He said, I ain't going. So I'm like, well, heck, I don't know what I'm going to do. Caleb, he hears about it, and he said, well, who are you going to get? And I said, I don't know. And he said, well, I got another head horse. He said, why don't you go ahead for Ty Arnold over there? He said, Ty was up there doing something, hauling some cows or something. And I said, well, that would work. I got his old heel horse if he wanted to ride him. So call Ty. Sure enough, Ty's game for it. So I go down there and head at Spicer Grip that year. And I called Trevor, and I said, hey, I'm coming. I need help. I want to head. So from after Dodge till now, that's when it all started. I rode some big old bay horse Caleb had, and then I went home and I sold the heel horse from Ty, and I also had little Kim that Patrick used to own. I sold them too, and I was going to keep Smurf. I was going to retire him at home, and he was too young. I felt bad for him. I was like, he's got too much life left in him. He wants to still go do it. So sold him and bought me a bunch of head horses, and just been.
Well, I remember
working it
Trevor
ever
and I
since.
talking about it, because I think he might have maybe helped him at the.
Yeah, because
time
you were
event.
supposed to. I
Yeah.
think I was going to heel and you was going to head.
And I can't remember if my back went out. I can't remember if I struggled with my back or whatever. But I remember
It
you
was.
went there, and Trevor and I talked about your head a lot.
Yep.
He's like, what do you think about this kid? And I'm like, man, I've watched it just a little bit. Your ability to be able to stay centered on your horse, to be able to be in contact with him the whole time. Your left hand always stayed forward. You always had that ability to be able to ride the horse where he needed to be, but stay out of his way while you were roping.
Yeah.
That's a talent. That's a jockey. That is a freaking something that like people strive to do. You're talking about being able to rub your belly and pat your head. But it was natural.
Yeah,
Like
that's
it
what I
was
gonna
something
say.
that
Honestly,
was just
it
so
would- it'd
natural.
come
to-
naturally though, because it wasn't like I worked at that. I have not. It just that's naturally where what I do or the position I ride. That was just how I see heading, and that's what I've always done. It ain't like I work at it every single day. Like today, last night I got text from a guy asking, "Hey, what kind of drills do you have that I could do this to make my head horse be running, but be a little bit wider, but then get on his butt and this and that?" And I'm like, honestly, I don't. I just rope. I don't really know what to tell you. I mean, and he's like, "Well, I just figured you might have some drills." I'm like, I really don't have no drills. I just
it was just natural.
that's what it is, and
I think a lot too, probably studying it, because I know you watched it a lot.
I watched it a lot.
You were around some of the best headers. Talk about Driggers. Talking about being around Trevor.
Mm-hmm.
Like Trevor said too, and I've seen it also. Your ability to use your feet.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much to that because your feet also keep the horse's body right there shaped up on the way to the steer. Your left hand is going to point his front end to it. You were always square on the way in and had the horse stood up. You rode from the back to the front naturally good, where them shoulders are always coming up. But your ability to annihilate a set of bones was maddening to a guy that headed my whole life. And I'm like, did you just hear that freaking head loop go on? Like, and I'm like, why didn't I heel first? Why didn't I heel first? Because Driggers healed first. You know, you look at the guys that healed first and then their ability to handle rope.
Mm-hmm.
Talk a little about that too, and the fact of you go from heeling.
Right.
What type of rope was it? What lay was it?
Hard as they make.
And then now you go to head and then talk about the difference now between the feel of when you're going from just the ropes to what's in your hand.
Well, I think it goes back to, like you were saying though, Chuck, I've always been my whole life been a visual learner. I have a hard time if somebody sits here and tells me something. I don't comprehend it as good as being out there and seeing you head the horns or Trevor head the horns or Speedy and Caleb, you know, or watching Brad heel steers. That's how I learn. If I see them do it, then I'm like, oh yeah. Like I could sit there and listen to Brad tell Caleb, this is how you do it, you know, whatever, this is what we need to be working at. But until they went and made their run, like me just sitting there waiting to heel the next steer and watching it, that's how I learned it. When they finally said, oh yeah, that's what we want. Well, heading was the same way. When I watched all that stuff, I put all that together and I'm like, this is what I need to do. This is how you head steers. You know, I practice. I can practice in my head that way by thinking of great runs or watching a video of somebody at a certain rodeo. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's what I need to do, you know? And I think that's how I learned to head, was visually seeing a bunch of the great guys head steers. And then I've always been a fan of Trevor. You know, his horsemanship's unreal. And so I've always, even when I wrote calves, that's what I wanted. I wanted to be like that guy. So I think I put all that together, and then that's what I told myself that's what I got to do. And that was my mindset of a header. And I'm like, I got to put all them guys together, and that's going to be great. And if I can ever conquer that, then I'll be where I'm supposed to be at, and I'll be one of the greatest headers to do it. But you gotta do all that. You gotta put it all together first.
What about the ropes? When you talk about going from what line and lay of rope from heeling, and then what were you trying to find when you started throwing head loops, or did you already kind of know because you've headed enough?
Well, you know, like I said, growing up in Florida, you showed up at a roping. Most of the time you headed and heeled. So back then I just always got a heat to head with, and I used a stiff heel rope. I used a GT4 light and an XR4 light, but I used them as stiff as George could make them. You can ask him. It's weird because now, when I first started heading, I was at a soft, and now I'm in between an extra soft and an extra soft. It's unreal. Like, it's weird to think about it because George said, I used to make you the stiffest heel rope that we had. And then now.
And was you a GT4 guy?
I was for a long time. When I won the straight, I won it with a GT4, like back that era. And then when I went on the road, made the finals, I was using an XR4 light. But like I said, then I come to heading, and I was using a heat for a long time.
Because that would make sense on the heat because you got a tight, fast swing.
Yeah.
And Turtle Pal, and your and Turtle Pal's head loop would crack.
Yeah.
Like fast hands, fast, tight swing. And I think he was a heat guy.
He was.
So it didn't make a lot of sense, too, where your guys' style and the same kind of rope.
Right. And then, so I went to that, but my head loop was I was so aggressive with it and so sharp. My miss loop was it was come off the right horn.
Because they're so fast.
So fast.
They're so fast.
And I was like, you know what? This ain't working. So the more I work, which the first year I made the finals head and I was using a heat. But the more I've worked at it and tried to get, better, obviously, I knew I had to have something that was a little bit deader. I've never been a power line guy. Don't get me wrong. That's the greatest rope there is. It don't fit my style. it's a little bit just dead and heavy for me. So I end up going to the GT4 in the head ropes. And then I think I've gotten where I use such a soft rope because my loops are so sharp. It gives me a little bit, it's a little deader for me. When I throw it, it hits. And I don't feel like
hit.
I don't feel like it can come off.
Freaking lightning bolt when it hit. It don't hit. It cracks.
Well,
that sumbitch cracks
in
when
my
it goes
mind,
on.
It does me. If I get a little bit stiffer, like I'll get.
I've seen dust fly off horn wraps when you freaking like when lightning hits a dirt cloth. I mean, it's like damn. Yeah, it's legit.
Yeah,
like if you want to study how a head loop goes on, like that head loop is how it goes on.
Lots of hours roping the dummy with Caleb.
Well, iron
that's all we
sharpens
did
iron,
when we was
that's for
kids,
sure.
you know, and I think that had a lot to do with it. But anyway, yeah, I just think that's where I went to, because nowadays that ain't my miss loop as much as it used to be, you know.
Well, now it's 2021. Now you start heading. Talk about the head horses you started finding, what you started getting, partner you started getting, and now you're on the road to being a header.
2020, I had bought me a couple horses, you know. Obviously, we'd found a few. 2020, I got a little mare from Trevor, Brown Sugar. I rode her. Me and Ross made the American that year. She was amazing. She was young. She wasn't but like 5 or 6 years old. And Trevor told me I bought her the night before Odessa that year. And he said, let's see, it would have been, so I bought her the end of 2020. It was the beginning of 21, that Odessa. He said she ain't never been to a rodeo, but she had a feel, and my loops, it fit. And I said,
there's a lot to a stride and a tight swing.
Right.
I haven't seen very many times where a longer strided horse fits a real tight swing.
It don't fit. No matter how good the horse is.
Something's got to fit.
It's got to fit, you know. I mean, he can be the greatest head horse that's ever done it, but his stride be off with my swing. It just don't work, you know. Yeah, you can run up there and rope them all day long, but when you got to compete and be, you know, certain time
that's
or whatever.
Feel. That's feel. That's there's certain. I mean, I've had head horses I've tried. They scored good. They ran to the spot good. Great corner, good finish. But the feel wasn't there.
The feel ain't there.
And there's when you're talking about guys, when you're talking about feel, that's those little things. That's the little stuff to where it fits your swing, to where it actually puts more on it. Otherwise, it'll lag behind, and there's something off.
I feel like the faster footed horses now carry my loops better than a slower footed horse.
Yeah.
So
this episode is brought to you by NRS. Father's Day is right around the corner. Right now at NRS, when you spend $200, you'll get $40 off your purchase. This is the perfect opportunity to grab some gear that Dad will use and love. From the freshest ropes to boots, hats, and everyday apparel, NRS is home to all things Western. Stop by an NRS store or head to nrsworld.com to take advantage of the $40 off your $200 purchase now until June 21st.
I got her, and she was phenomenal. I'm telling you, I took her over there. I break the bear in the first one, I think just because I was a little hesitant, didn't have no confidence really, because he had told me, he's like, she ain't never been to no rodeo and this and that. Well, first round, I break the bear, and we catch him. The second round, I'm pissed off, you know, obviously. And I'm back in there, and she fires, stick it on him. We win second in the round, short four. And everybody's talking then, because she fired and she licked her butt. And she only got better from then on for a while. I rode her for, heck, I guess I rode Brown Sugar for most of winter and all that. And I jackpotted on her a bunch. She could run. But then she got, I don't know, she just got where she was kind of tired of team roping, tired of rodeoing. You know, there's a guy that's got her now, and he jackpots on her, and she's amazing. But she got over it, and then I got the racehorse, JV. And that was by far my favorite head horse.
That was one of Trevor's.
So that's the one when you were supposed to help him at a time event, and your back got messed up, and I had to go help. That's the horse me and Trev took. And he was 7 years old, and that was his first outing.
And if I remember right, he had a pimp limp.
He did. He still got a pimp limp. He's in my field over here.
He's like 50 Cent.
He's still limping around.
Yeah, he's still walking around like a pimp.
He was unreal. White Imus had bought him, and like I said, me and Brown Sugar we were kind of not getting along that great, and he had always wanted Brown Sugar. So we did some trading. And I got him back, and that's the horse I made the finals on. But it was unreal, so fast. And Chuck, if every horse could score like him, it would be unreal. Because I promise you, how you get on a 20-year-old head horse and back in the box out here, and he just stands there. That's how JV was every single time. But then could mortally fly. It was weird. It was like you had to see a little bit more than everybody else because he was so big and so fast. But dude, he took you to the horns. It was so fast to the horns, and I would just head him, and Roscoe he'd heel him fast, and it worked out. We had a good little chemistry, me and him, and that was a fun year. That Ross, he's a great guy.
What was that
looks
like,
good.
making the NFR for the second time, but heading?
Yeah,
because that had to feel pretty special.
No,
now,
it did. Because
you made it once heeling, now once heading, and you're in a small category on the amount of people that's been able to pull that off.
Well, and two, I felt like I could head, but I didn't. I was kind of caught between because I had healed my whole life, as far as at the rodeos and all that. I mean, healing's what I did. Yeah, I felt like I could head because I've done it forever, but I felt like I was at a whole nother level, and I'm like, am I really supposed to be here heading or not? And when we finally knew we made it, yeah, it was like, because we did pretty good. We stayed top 10 for, I think we went in 6th or 7th, but it was a pretty good feeling because then when I got there, I'm like, all right, I've been here healing. I thought heading looked really cool. So now I'm fixing to get to try it. Now I got to get to working at it. And then I had to try to find me a horse. I didn't have a horse for that setup. And
talk about what you learned, because what did you ride first off at the NFR head in that year?
Yeah.
And it is so fast and it is so different. It's a place a guy's never been in. You talk about the American, it's the same setup, probably the same box, same barrier, but it ain't the same left wall.
It's not.
So when you talk about, and not even the same steers.
Yeah.
Them steers are so fast.
So
Come
fast.
round one.
When you nod.
And everyone says it. I was there. Everyone's there. You just don't quite believe it. And then when it's there, you're like, it takes reps. It takes reps to be able to get that feel.
It takes reps,
And then now you got to find a horse that fits that.
That's right. Well, and the crazy part about this is the only horse I've ever rode is transmission at the NFR.
So you got him in 2021 then.
Yep. So they hit me up about transmission that year right there before the finals, and he was expensive. And I'm like, no, not he's old, this and that, and he's not sound. So I'm like, it rocks on. I'm like, I can't do it. Ross actually told me, he's like, hey, I don't know if you'd want to do anything, but JB&M's going to sell all them horses. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't do it for that much money. Because I even talked to JB a little bit. And I was deer hunting in Illinois. I always go over there 1st of November and hunt for a week or two, come back, practice, head out. And I was over there. I can still remember the tree stand I was in. And JB texted me, and he said, hey, I'm gonna take a little bit off that horse. You interested in him? And I'm like, man, it's still too much for me, this and that. I said, let me think on it. So we kick it around, and my dad has always told me, he said, it don't ever cost nothing to try a horse. He said, that's free. I mean, it's your time. And so I end up telling myself, I'm going to try that horse.
How old was he?
He was 17.
17.
So I ain't even tell my dad, because I told my dad before when it first come about, and he's like, that's too old, too much money, blah, 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 blah. So I just said, I'm going to do it. So anyway, when I got back and went to try him, I went to Snow's and tried him, and all he had was some muleys. And I was driving to try him. I told my dad, I said, you always told me don't cost nothing to try one. I'm going to try this horse. It's been one of my favorite head horses my whole life. I want to try him. And he's like, all right, whatever. Go over there. And Chuck, I'm telling you, from the very first calf I ran, it was like, wow, this horse is unreal. So I didn't run many, maybe 4. And I told him, I said, this is it. So rock on, called JB. I said, hey, listen, I want to ride him one more time. I want to run some steers on him. I only wrote muleys over here. I don't need to run 2 or 3, but I got some big Mexicans over at my house. I'm buying him for the NFR, That's what I want to see what it feels like. And there was no guessing. It was like, whatever I got to do to buy him, let's buy him. So I did. And then we went, and I missed the very first steer first off. at the NFR. It was like a cream color paint.
Still remember him.
And he had horns that went up like that.
Still
And I
remember
shot it
that
off the right horn because I was riding so hard to the horns. And I can still remember Trevor telling me, hey, in here, you don't really ride to the horns. You just kind of ride out and hit them and make your run. And so we kind of struggled. We didn't win the most that year. And on the 9th round, I can sit here and tell you how to do it every round, every steer at the finals. But on the 9th round, I drilled the barrier and headed the horns and turned. And I remember going out of the arena, we were 3-8. And I thought, that was easy. But it was like, it was a feeling, it was a timing.
And you found the timing.
And I'm like, this is all you got to do. And knock on wood, I might make the finals 10 more times and miss every steer. But it was like, I learned a feel from then on, because even the 10th round that year, it was like, I just backed in there, I was relaxed, nodded, went behind the steer, headed him, turned him, we placed. And it's like,
well, it's kind of like
I was trying to make it way too hard.
Days that you talked about the American.
Right.
Once a guy has that there and he finally finds it.
Yeah.
Man, now you kind of know.
Yeah, and it goes back to every rodeo, year in and year out. When I go to Reno now, it's just like you said earlier. What did you learn the first year you went out there on the road, at all these rodeos? When I go to Reno now, I know that feel. Reno's the same every single year, year in, year out. It's going to be full shoulder, front leg by, and they're going to run. Some's going to be a little better. You know the feeling.
Longer box.
It'll
take a little longer to get there.
And I learned that. And so now when I go to the setups like the NFR, Sioux Falls, Puyallup, where the boxes are similar and the start is real similar, it's like, hey, I still remember that was one of the first times that I learned a feeling. Like, I'm like, oh, this is a feel. And so now, like San Antonio, I can go there. I know the feel at San Antonio. If I had to go first out this coming year, I'm not worried one bit, because I've been there, I've done it. I know the feeling, and I feel like when you feel that, there's no way somebody could have told me all this before I felt it. I would have understood. That's right. That's an experience. That's right. And that helps a lot.
Mm-hmm. So after 2021, what went on in 2022, and then talk about 2023, and then love to kind of go those NFRs where now things started tightening up.
Yep. So 2022, me and Ross roped again, and we won a little bit. I think we won. Maybe that was the first year of Calgary. We won Calgary that year, which was pretty cool, obviously. But I didn't rope that great. I roped poor. My horses, JV, he was kind of learning the rodeo deal. He was kind of dragging a leg, and it was hard. I could still head them, but it's hard setting them up. And I didn't do as good as I should have. And Ross, it didn't work that year.
Because you're still kind of early a little bit on finding that feel of that head horse.
I was.
And so the guy kind of goes through those ups and downs, like, all right, now I got this one. Well, then we lets up. Well, then, man, to try to find that feel again.
Right.
Sometimes it can take some trial and error.
No, it does. But I think, too, the biggest thing that ever helped me was getting to spend time with Trevor like I did. Because I swear to you, up until when he told me I had to head for him at the time event, I thought I knew what a good head horse was. Like I said, I've headed on and off my whole life. When I got to ride all of his head horses, when he told me, he said, "What do you want to ride?" I said, I'll ride any of them, whatever you want to ride. And he said, well, ride them all. We'll get them all saddled. You can ride all of them, see which one's your favorite. And I was like, Chuck, it was unreal. I'd never rode nothing like that. I mean, every single one of them, it was like, wow, this is head horses, So, and I felt like that's an advantage that I had, because if it wouldn't have been for that and getting to be around him and ride them type horses, would I know what that feeling's like still today? So now when I go try a head horse, I have high standards. Like I do. Not being arrogant, not like that. I know what a really, really good one's supposed to feel like now. And if I don't feel it, I'm not trying to be an ass or nothing else. I'm not going to waste your time. Mm-hmm. I'm going to get off and thank you and everything else. But I know a certain feel I'm looking for now in a head horse, and I think that getting to ride them type horses, that was an advantage I had.
So when did you find Joe?
So I went on, I was still riding JV a little bit, and I had seen him. I don't remember what year it was. So I bought him. When did I buy Joe? 23 maybe, I think. I seen him 2 years before that at the BFI. JD was riding him, JD Yates. And me and Trevor, once again, I went to Trevor and I'm like, hey, do you see this bay horse that he's riding? He's like, he looks good, huh? I said, yeah. So I'm pestering JD. He wouldn't sell him. And rocks on. Every time I see him, if I seen him, like if he went to Dodge City or somewhere, he was riding Joe. And I'm like, golly, I need that horse. And next year, BFI, same thing. Won't sell him. Looks amazing. And that year, 23, I guess it was, I was at the Spicer Grip. And I'm out there warming up, and JD come to me. And he said, you still want old Joe? And I said, yeah, I'd love to have old Joe. And he said, I'm going to ride a sorrel today. He said, if he'll do what I need him to do, I'll do something with you on that bay. And I said, well, you let me know. Well, sure enough, something happened. We were out early. I'd done left. I ain't even thought no more about it because I didn't figure he'd sell him. And sure enough, he called me. He said, I think the sorrel will work. He said, if you want to try Joe, come try him. He said, he ain't advertised. I ain't told nobody. You've asked, more than anybody. He said, so when you get time, come try him. I made sure I got there pretty fast and tried him, and it was like trying transmission. I ran 4 or 5 steers.
He was exactly what he looked like.
Exactly what he looked like. My head loops, they hit sharp on him. Mm-hmm. I said, but it was a lot of money. And I'm like, I got to do what I got to do. If I want to.
Well, because at this point in time, now you're roping Jake Long.
That's right.
Because now, what else do you have besides transmission?
That year, that was the end of 22. So that's when I bought him, actually, was the end of 22, because me and Ross were done. I went to the Northwest. I tried him on my way to the Northwest, and I picked him up on the way home. And so I got him, whatever, and then I got Jake Long the next year. And Joe was just unreal. It was crazy. And what a lot of people...
Because your guys' style, when you guys first started roping, I'm like, oh, yeah, I like that on paper. Yeah. Because you do a great job. You're going to hit the start. You're going to ride your horse. Because, like, to me, you're going to be able to go that extra swing, so it's going to go on. Your consistency for where you're going to ride to with that extra swing is going to be higher than them guys coming over the chute. Right. Well, then you got a guy that's just around waiting for that first hop to just rear back on. So on paper, like, to me, that in those 2 years, it did fit.
It was good. Yes, it was. And I still, me and Jake, second partners at Jackpots. I feel like we got a good run together. We're a pretty good team, and it did. That horse, whenever, because he hadn't been rodeoed on much, just whatever JD did, So when it started out the summer, I remember leaving. We went to Weatherford, same route we're fixing to do. Weatherford, and then Woodward, Cortez, Monticello. Went to Weatherford, steer runs, and I mean, we blasted him 4-6, win the rodeo. Went to Woodward that night, or the next night, 4-4, win the rodeo. And it's like, holy cow. I'm like, this horse is amazing. But it did it. And it fit our deal because it was sharp. And when I would turn him, Jake throws fast regardless. Hey, if he messes up every now and then, so what? That's his shot, But our run fit really good together. And it was fun. That horse has been...
Because now you got your outside year-long horse that's good at every setup. Then you got your short stuff with transmission. You're able to slow him down, but also not overuse him for his age. And you guys go to the NFR, and, I mean, you guys had a great NFR in 2023, if I remember right as well.
We did. We win 180-something thousand that year. I mean, it was unreal. And I told Jake...
Because that 2021, then the year off in 2022, didn't make it. So now in 23... that 9th round steer you remembered, it looked like...
That's right. That's what I told him,
You just kept repeating that run.
Because he's telling me, he's like, hey, when do you want to practice? He said, I don't believe in practicing too early and this and that. He said, we wrote for a couple weeks. We should be good. And I'm like, yeah. And I told him, I said, I remember. I said, I might be wrong. I said, but I'm telling you, I still remember that feeling, and we should be good. I really believe in us. And I actually went hunting, Chuck. Like I said, I always do. And I can remember I was sitting there in a stand, and Jake Long texts me. He's been like after me, like, hey, when are you going to be back, this and that. And finally he texts me one day, and it says, hey, Bubba, I don't know if you know or not, but we leave in 9 days, and we haven't practiced. And I said, I'm leaving tomorrow. I'll be home. So sure enough, we still today, we jack around and joke about it. I said, you remember that? And he said, oh, yeah. He said, I'm sitting there worried. You're over there hunting. He said, and we're 9 days from leaving. And he said, I don't think, he said, in my mind, you're not even worried about it. And I'm like, well, I really wasn't at that point. But I knew if I did my job, you were going to do your job. And so it worked out good.
Because if I remember right, 2023 reserve.
We was reserve, yep.
So you guys had a great finals.
Because we came, so that year I wasn't even making the finals. I made it at Sioux Falls, which I had transmission over there. So I had to win, I think I had to win 14,000. We went in there. He had the finals made. We started roping in the summer of that year, and he had a lot more money than I did won. And so we did good. And he, somehow we got to Sioux Falls. We got in Sioux Falls from doing good at tour rodeos. And when we got over there, I knew that was my only chance. I had to do good. I did really good the week before. Like I went to San Bernardino, Poway, all that, man. That's Mona, Utah. Didn't run the steers through that day because I went to Mona. I just showed up in time for the first perf at Sioux Falls. And so everything worked out just right. Like we won really good. And then it's like, all right, I got a chance. So then we advanced to the 8-man, and then we advanced to the 4-man. And I can remember sitting back there in that tunnel, and I was like,
the 4-man you still had to do.
I had to win second or better.
Yep.
And I was, what was I? No, I was second. We were second or third out. 2 teams before us, 1 after us. And they freaking go 3-7. Oh, no. Yeah, 3-7, 3-4. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So in my mind, I'm like, you ain't got nothing to lose. You have 0 to lose. If you miss the steer, you're not making the finals. So
too long.
You dang sure better go at him. That's right. So sure enough, we go and we went 3-6. 1 team left, and they didn't. I had to win second or better. So sure enough, I got into the finals that year. But it was that, like, that setup. I don't know. I know that feeling, and it's transmission. I know he's not going to let me down. And it's like, that is my strongest setup, I feel like, with that horse.
Well, now you're going into 2023, the NFR, you game. You almost didn't get a chance to win the world.
Right. Well, yeah, that's me.
And there were so many things, too, like right there, that had to kind of go right, and then they did. Yep. Is that the year Clay Smith missed?
No, that was
2024
or
Okay.
24.
So, like, 2023, I just remember you guys banged, and I mean, just one run after another.
Yeah, I think we won the first round, the second round. We won the first, the second, the fourth, and the 7th. We won 4 rounds that year.
So you barely make the finals, but get the confidence right there that, hey, when it comes down to it, you're getting it done.
Yeah.
Then you go to the finals, and you dang near win the world. How much confidence did you have going into 2024?
It went out the roof.
Yeah.
Honestly, it did. You know, like I said.
Because your partnership, now you got a groove.
That's right.
You're heading, you got the horses, and you know that when things come down to it, like, hey, I got what it takes, because those are memories you'll never forget.
No, for sure.
Because those were fast lane steers that we all did as a little kid. Like, all right, Sioux Falls, final 4. I've got to be 3-7 to win it or to make the NFR, and I'm 3-6. We've done that. I did it on the Cowboy Toy. I know you did it on the fast lane.
Absolutely.
Kids now are doing it on the goats. Like, and then you do it. It's like a dream. It's all like a dream come true. Yeah. Well, then you go there and just annihilate them. Then 2024, you've got the horses, you got the partner, you got the confidence.
Yep.
2024 was a great year.
2024 was, we did that, and my confidence was through the roof. Not in an arrogant way by no means, but just self-confidence. I was good. I was comfortable. I felt like almost like a veteran. I felt like I knew all the setups. I was comfortable with them. Heck, we won 75,000 in the winter that year. We won everywhere we went. We just boom, 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 boom. I'm like, every time you ride in the box for a while there, it was
money in your pocket.
It was number 1 team in the world, and I'm like, holy cow! Just even hearing that at that point is like, man, this is what I've dreamed about.
You got momentum rolling.
That's right,
big time into 2024.
So that rocks on. The summer, it really wasn't that great. We placed along and along and along. It wasn't like the summer before where we just lit them on fire, because when I left the summer before, I had $4,000 won, and it was like we had to win. to get me there. Well, the next year we go start out in the summer with all this money won. I'm like, oh, this is going to be easy. Well, then it's like we let off the pedal, or I did, and we made the finals and we were top 5 or whatever, but we should have been higher. And sure enough, went back and had another great finals.
Well, if I remembered right, too, before the NFR started, you're looking for a partner for next year.
I was.
So that's almost a little bit like, man, I'm sticking. I've got the horses.
I was. That was
and you're excited to go back to the NFR,
mm-hmm.
but then, man, I'm not even sure who I'm going to rope with.
No, it was. Honestly, I was.
How much of that was, because I remember like Clay Cooper and I talked, when I remember when I got cut roping with him, and I was like, I'm going to show you.
That's right.
I'm going to show you.
That's right.
I love you, but I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
And it kind of brings out a little bit of that. I'm going to stick it to you on this next, kind of like on, what is it, Major League?
It just lights
He's
a
like,
fire.
remember when
man.
Major League, when Ricky Vaughn thought he got cut, and he's like, next team I'm going to play for, I'm going to take this ball and I'm going to stick it up. And so it kind of does. But then also, too, was also how much pressure did that kind of take off?
No, it did, because I didn't have nothing to lose.
NFR.
I'm like, honestly, at that point, you know how it is, rodeo, and you get cut. And I thought we were good. And then it's like, pissed off at the world,
Takes some air out of you.
It takes some air out of you. And but then again, when I went to the finals, I'm like, ever steer? I ain't got it's this for me. So obviously, when it all said and done, and today me and Jake's good friends, but at that time I was pissed off.
Well, because you can use it as fuel.
That's
seen
right.
that with Michael Jordan.
And I did,
do.
but then I didn't know. It's funny that me and Jade are roping now. So during the finals of that year, I thought I had Jade already for the winner. And he ends up calling me like the 9th or 10th round. I don't remember what it was. And he ends up telling me, hey, man, he said, I'm not ready yet. He said, give me a year. I'll be ready. He said, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to lead you on whole 9 yards. He said, led you on because I wanted to do it. He said, but I just ain't ready yet. So I'm like, no problem. I've always wanted to rope with Jade.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's Jade Corkill. And so I get asked by several different guys, and I'm like, I don't know.
Because the 2024 NFR, I mean, I remember I kept asking, I wonder who he's going to get, because he's gaming. I mean, the summer looks good. His horses are great. You're going back in the 10th round of the NFR, chance to win the world, chance to win the average.
I mean, a very good chance.
Talk a little bit about that.
And yeah, exactly. I mean, I had no idea at that point, because I thought I did have Jade, and then that fell through. So the guys that was kind of asking me to rope, I was like, nothing. They all rope good, but I was thinking, man, I just went from getting a rope with Jake Long to almost winning the world last year. Got a chance right here, and I don't even have a partner. And but yeah, went on, freaking win the average, this and that, and then I'm just like, what am I gonna do?
Because that had to be bittersweet. You almost win the world.
It was.
And you win the average. That ain't easy to do.
No, it was.
Jimmy Tanner's the only guy I know that bat 1,000.
Yeah.
He was 2 for 2.
Yeah.
And that's not easy to do. There's a lot of guys that went there 20 times and never even did it.
Right.
And you get it, but then you're like, gosh, dang.
No, it was exciting. And don't get me wrong. I asked him a few times after that, hey, you sure you don't want to keep doing this? I did. And we ended up, like I said, we roped second partners, and that was great. But who knew that? Because I told a bunch of people, I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. And Paul asked me, he said, hey, I'm not rodeoing. He said, but to give yourself a little more time, you want to rope in the winter? He said, I love it.
How much of a breath of fresh air did that feel?
It was huge. It really was. I'm like, heck yeah, I'd love to rope. I like Paul. The rope's great. I
love
said,
the style.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
I said, if you're good with it, he said, well, plan on it. So I did that, and I felt like it bought me a little more time. Well, then I kept roping, and me and Paul did pretty good. And I even asked him, I'm like, you sure you don't want to go rodeo? And he said, man, if we was to win Houston, I probably would. But other than that, he's like, I already got something going at home. He said, I need to do that and this and that. So it rocked on, Chuck, and literally, it's weird how it all happened. It was at the BFI, and I told myself the week before the BFI, the week of it, leading up, I said, I'm going to get through the BFI, and on that Sunday, I got to make my mind up. I got a couple of guys been asking to rope. I'm telling one of them, we're going to rope. That way we can get things rolling, and we got to get to practicing. And I ain't even thought no more about Jade. Obviously, I mean, talk along and along, but far as rodeoing, I'm hoping he'll be ready next year. And I swear to you,
Because it looked like he had been home.
he had been.
I kind of started seeing him a little bit maybe with Sin and Jenny on and off on a
Right,
yellow
that's right.
horse,
Yep.
where maybe he was kind of
Yeah, I think he went
going
to
in a few
California
spots.
just to go out there
Yeah,
and
just-
hang out and
yeah.
stuff and rope, and they did pretty good. And literally, I left my rig. Some buddies of mine from Florida was at the BFI roping the next day. I stayed the night after the roping, and I left the rig driving up to the arena, and I said, I'm going to call somebody, the guy I was going to rope with, and say, hey, you sure you want, let's do this, whatever. And I'm driving, and before I call somebody, Jay Corkill texted me and said, are you ready? And I said, how crazy is this?
yes, I'm ready.
Yes, I did. So it answered it for me right then. It's almost like it's meant to be, because it's weird how I've been telling myself on that day I'm going to do it. And before I could call somebody, right before I called them, I got that text. And man, it was like, you don't understand why some things happen. Just like going back to Jake cutting me, and we just had 2 amazing years. But it's always been a dream kind of to rope with Jay Corkill, get the head steers for him. I mean, I healed my whole life and looked up to him as a great healer, and now I'm fixing to get a chance to go head for him. I mean, it's like, hey, this is
Does
all
it
part
look
of the
like?
plan.
Because I think he was off for a year, maybe a little
2
more.
years.
And so you talk about kind of for him, recharged,
Yep.
refreshed, different mentality.
Yep.
He's got a horse he's been riding that looks like it allows him to be in the right spot and do his job every single time. When I watch the highlight reel of your guys' runs, I mean just bang, 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 bang. I mean clean run
Right.
after clean run after clean run all year long, check after check.
It was good.
And it just looked same thing. It looked good on paper, and it was.
It was really good, and it got where our confidence grew. Yeah, at first, I ain't gonna lie to you, I was a little bit nervous. I'm like, hey, I know all I gotta do is head these steers. I can jerk him out the arena. He's gonna rope 2 feet. So you got to do your job. It was almost like starting in 2018 with Eric. It's like, hey, you head the steers, we're gonna win money.
You can pull him out of the arena, and he'll find a way to get him on the third row.
Right.
Like, this is a guy that you talk about, there's not a hop he ain't seen.
Right. No, it don't matter. Put him in forward motion and get him out of the way. He's going to get him.
So, man, now the ability to just go do your job.
Right.
Do what you know how to do.
That's right.
And that's exactly what it looked like.
It's been fun,
Well, talk
the
about
funny
that
part
NFR.
is people think just how good we did do, because we did amazing this summer. But there's so many other ones that I messed up. I messed up some big steers like Salt Lake. We had a chance to win Salt. I mean, that's a huge rodeo. There's several different ones. Sheridan, I stick it on the second steer to win Sheridan. He falls down. There's several other rodeos I can name that could have made our summer even that much better.
Well, because year in, year out, run after run after run that y'all made, and this Joe's in the trailer just making run after
Every
run
steer.
after run, every single steer, and then to be able to leave 2025 at the end of the year to be able to have the head horse of the year.
Yeah.
Like, how cool is that?
No, it was cool. He won it in 23, but this year was sweeter to me. I felt like some people, win it here and there and maybe never again. But for him to come back, and he was a little bit weak, 24, but I had rode the crap out of him. And then it was like last year, it was like he was recharged. It was unreal. And for him to win it again, it was crazy. But everything goes together, and I feel like our team, we're set up pretty good with our horses, and me and Jade, I got a lot of confidence in him, and I feel like he's got a lot in me, or at least he makes me feel that way anyway. So I feel like we should continue.
Well, you guys
to
go to the NFR in 2025, and it's just all looking the same. Everything's looking the same. There is nothing that you're changing. You and transmission, and then Jade knows where they're at. And you guys are running off with it in 2025.
Yep.
Talk a little about later in those rounds when you guys have that lead, and then talk about kind of what goes on.
Yeah. So, man, and I can tell us now, when transmission, he wasn't 100% this NFR, but he was by far better than anything I had. So I had to take him. He was sick, but I couldn't, with all the outbreak and EHV and all that going on. He didn't have that, but he had pigeon fever before it, and we didn't know what it was. We found out afterwards, but he had it internally on his liver. He had an abscess on his liver, And they say a lot of times them horses, when they get it internally, it's hard, especially when they're older. They don't make it because a lot, pigeon fever normally is on the outside. You drain it, you doctor it, whatever. This was internal. And they said you had to draw the abscess down and you had to be careful. You couldn't let it bust, because if it busts, they're done. And, but they said an older horse, it takes a big toll on them, and they normally don't make it. So we didn't know, or I didn't know, and I don't think that they knew it at OE what it was until we got back. They finally got a sample, and they said it is pigeon fever, which he didn't have a fever at all while we were there or leading up to it at first. Back when he was at the vet clinic for, man, a couple months before Vegas. He was in there, and he was not doing good. So Harvey had told me, said, "Hey, I'm gonna get you the crew up there. They're gonna get you lined out, and he'll be ready for 10 steers." He said, "But he said, after that, I can't guarantee you nothing." He said, "You can get him back to the clinic, and they can do whatever they can do for you." He said, "But there ain't no guarantee." So sure enough, got him back, and they did whatever, and got samples, and they told me after, said there's a good chance that he probably ain't gonna make it. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, I just thought he was gonna be pretty much retire, and so I learned to accept that. But deep down, I'm like, he ain't giving up on me. That horse, he's too tough. He's, we've been through too much together. And sure enough, rocks on. Fever never comes back. He keeps eating this and that. Which if you look at him at the finals this past year, his muscle and everything, he was nothing like he should have been. My old saddle just kind of sat on his back. And sure enough, he gets better. And he's getting better. And he still needs a lot of weight put on. And I called him like 2 weeks before San Antonio. And I said, "Hey, do y'all think Tranny will be, where I could take him down there?" And they're like, "No." And I said, "Well, even if, he's not in ICU anymore or nothing." I said, "Could maybe I get him and ride him around?" I said, "It's just 1 steer a day for 3 steers. I'm in the first set. That gives me 3 more weeks before I run another one." I said, "Surely we could do that." They're not wanting to, so rock on a little bit longer that week. I said, "Hey, my fair's coming." And the next day I said, "Can I come get him and let my fair, because he needs special stuff done to his feet, let him do it. I'll bring him back to the clinic." And they said, "Yeah, that's fine, whatever." So I get him over there. I get there early, or Bryce does, picks him up, brings him home. Well, there ain't been nothing in his lot. I got a block alfalfa in it. Turn him in there. He's been in a stall, and he don't do good in a stall even when he's normal. His old legs, they get puffed up and everything else. So I get him turned out there, and he's barely moving around. Well, Jake didn't make it till that evening to shoe. And by the time he gets there, he's already moving. Like, you can see it in his eyes. He's happy to be home. Jake shoes him, and we get to talking. I said, "What do you think?" I said, I want to keep him here. I said, "Surely whatever they're doing over there now, we can do it." He said, "Clint, I think that's what you need to do." So I call them, and they're like, "I think that's a good idea too." So I said, "All right." Well, in my mind, I'm thinking, I got him at the house. He's going to San Antonio. And so I kind of tell him, I'm like, "Hey, listen, just a heads up. Y'all took care of him, and y'all are part of the team. So I want you to know that if you see me at San Antonio on him, I'm sorry. I want to take him." And so sure enough, she goes, "Well, I tell you what, why don't you bring him back to me?" Sarah did. She said, "Let me check him. Check this, he had patches shaved on both sides. Let us check him the day before you're supposed to leave. And if you got to take him, whatever." So sure enough, Bryce drives him over there the day before. And I get a phone call from him, and everybody's crying pretty much. And I'm like, "Well, what the heck? Is he not something good or what?" And sure enough, the abscess had went away, Charlie. And they said, "We don't know." He had it when he left. It was still there. Now it's gone. So, and from that day forward, that sucker ain't did nothing but got his strength back, everything. With their help and, Equinity and Purina, they bring him back, and he don't want to give up. And to have him, like I said, it's weird how
Now the American later.
I rode him, so he's been he's been off since then. I knew like at the finals, I knew he was a touch behind from what he was. I'm like, I'm trying to tell myself no. I'd hit a bear like the first few rounds we just kind of caught, but I knew I wasn't getting my start that I needed. I wasn't feeling, he wasn't firing like he should have. And then maybe like the fourth round, we went 3, 4, 5, and 6. I think we went 3, 3, 3. And I'm like, all right, maybe he's coming back. Well, then it's like he dies off again. But I didn't know he was that sick. I knew he was sick, but I didn't know what was wrong with him. And so from then, from San Antonio until Corpus, which was a couple weeks ago, we've just been hoping, you know, like, hey, he's coming back. This and that. I've been giving him all these supplements, got him on all kind of stuff, trying to get his weight back and everything, ulcer medicine, EPM, just anything you think of, I'm trying it. And I went to Florida, and I had been down there hanging out and had Bryce meet me at Corpus. I drove a car. Got down there, and I got to warm him up, and I didn't get his medicine. Normally, I'll give him some Banamine or something like that just to help him feel good. Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, you have to ace him every time you ride him.
Still.
He gets a half CC ace.
No, you got to be kidding me.
I swear to you, he gets a half CC ace. So
never would have thought.
I didn't have his Banamine, and I was like, dang, he looks good, though. Like, he's full. So I gave him a shot. Don't give him no Banamine or nothing. And I get out there warming him up. And I told Jade, I said, this sucker feels strong. Like, he feels like he did 2 years ago. And I said, this is weird. And sure enough, we run the steer, and I'm telling you, I clipped the bear, but we made a great run, 3.8 or something. Steer kind of stepped to the left is why I felt like I got the bear. But my horse was phenomenal.
Felt like he was back.
I mean, like it was like, wow.
Back to running under you again.
Running under me again. And I told Jade out the back, that's where we was talking about the bear, where he said that, you know, he told me ain't no big deal. He's laughing. Mm-hmm. And I'm mad. But I told him, I said, dude, I got a really good feeling about the American. I said, he's back. Like he's back better than he was from the beginning. And sure enough, when I got back out here riding him around and at the American, no pain medicine, nothing. He had a half CC ace and was ready to rock and roll. And it's like, now you're back. You're ready, bud. So if I can just get us back over there, I felt like it'll be really good again.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what horses do you have in the trailer for this summer?
Man, I don't really have much right now. I got Joe. I got some young ones that I've kind of brung along. They ain't really young anymore. They just ain't been many places. And I'm going to take Tranny. Last year I took him to Nampa for the first time. I've always got to Nampa. I love that rodeo. It should be like my setup, but I've never really done that greatest there. And I'll get there and I'm like, dang, I wish Tranny was here. So last year I said, I'm behind the 8 ball. He's going. So I might take him to Nampa again and then let him come home and chill. But I got Joe and Transmission, and then I got a little bay that's a little 8-year-old that I've had. And I actually just got a horse yesterday. He's 20 years old. He's old, but has not been rode at all. I sold him when he was 6 years old. I raised him. And kind of was the first head horse I headed on back home, like at the rodeos, and he was pretty dang good. And I sold him to a guy in Carrizo Springs, and he let me get him back. So his name's Ranger, and I rode him yesterday. He's a little bit soft, but he's pretty dang good. He can run, scores, the whole 9 yards. So I'm probably going to just haul him and Joe around.
Keep him in the trailer.
I'm going to ride Joe, obviously, and that's what I said. Even if I find another one that's really good, more than likely I'm going to ride Joe wherever. If he gets where I need to give him a break, then I will. Or if it's muddy, I might not ride him. But for the most part, until I get to a spot where I feel like, okay, I can kind of owl off, which I don't think you ever really get there. But
well, there is times too to where there's certain setups or certain rodeos where, man, I've got to keep my good horses good. I got Transmission right here ready for the big stuff. There's some other rodeos right here where I feel like when I get on Joe, I'm going to win.
That's right.
I've got to make sure I got another one coming. You know,
like
I did that with Patron, and I always kind of had that a little bit at times to where I had some good ones, but then I got to get this one seasoned a little bit to where then you almost feel a little bit more of that, that power. But then also, too, is if they make a mistake, it's at the rodeo where it's not that big of a deal as well.
Right. Yeah. No, and that's what I was saying earlier, too. It might go back to I'm almost kind of too picky because it ain't like I've just been probably people looking from the outside are like, dang, is he ever going to get another horse to ride? It ain't that because I promise I've been trying them. I've tried them. I try them every day because I feel like if you quit looking for head horses when you're a header you're behind the 8 ball.
100%. I've been there, and I've been ahead of it, and I've been behind it.
Right. And it's real easy to get behind it. But I just got such high standards. I'm looking for another Joe, another transmission, which I know they don't make them every day. But they're out there somewhere. And somebody might not even know what they have, but I'm trying to find that horse, and I'm scared. I don't want to blow a pile of money on one that's, he feels pretty good, but also I don't really love him, and then I spend all that money, and then all of a sudden, 2 months down the road, I stumble upon that horse that is transmission or Joe again. And then it's like, hey man, you need $200,000 to go buy this horse. Well, I just spent it over here, most of it on this other one I really don't love. And then you got, so I'm real peculiar about what I'm looking for.
How much do you feel the futurities now are starting to find or starting to produce a lot of those horses that now guys are looking for, especially when you see Colton Schmidt?
Right.
That kid gamed at the NFR on that yellow horse.
He did amazing.
And you've seen that kid's full potential. And you're starting to see some horses now because now they're breeding for them. Now they're actually breeding for head horses.
That's right.
And how do you feel like some of those, you're starting to see some of them kind of show up a little bit at that high level?
Yeah, no, you do. I think that there's some of them in the futurity world that might do great that never make it rodeoing. But there is enough great hands in the futurity world now that when they do get the right ones, it's great because they know how to hold them together. They know what they need to be great, to be able to go on in the rodeo world to be great, and that's going to be awesome for the future because they're already going to be going through a rope barrier, at some of the futurities. They're going to know how to go and hold it together through a whole roping. They're going to get all that greenness out of them that, how it is with a young horse. You might have him amazing here at the house, and you take him to town, and the first 2 times you're like, oh yeah, he's great. Well, then the third time you go, well, he really ain't scoring that good. He's kind of wanting to take off, or there's certain little things that come with being green that them guys are going to go ahead and get it all out of them. And the hardest part about it's going to be buying them early enough because so many people are going to see them great ones
standing in line,
and they're standing in line to buy them. So therefore, a rodeo guy almost has to gamble a little bit on getting on it early enough because so many people, even the jackpot guys, because them guys can win so much money nowadays. When there is a good one, you got to be careful they don't beat you to it. And I think that's where people is going to the rodeo guys are going to struggle because we're wanting to make sure, okay, is he going to make it all the way through there and stay like that? Then that's when we want to buy them. Well, these other guys, they're like, hey, that's a good jackpot horse. We might as well go ahead and do it and let them continue to show him.
Yeah.
And but I do think in the long run, the futurity world, man, it's going to be great, and it's only getting better.
Yeah.
And the horses, they're gonna get more and more better as well.
Well, as we're talking about heading out for the summer, one of the things has been so much fun talking with a lot of these veterans on the podcast, Gerald Camarillo and John Miller, talking about what they rodeoed in back in the 70s, the 2-horse Cadillacs.
Yeah.
Talking about Walt Woodard, when he was in the old 454 pickup trucks with no AC, got a bucket of water, putting a rag around his head with a vent open right there, just driving down the rodeos, talking about cleaning the trailer out now and picking a cot out there and sleeping in the back of the trailer to now what's it like rodeoing?
Yeah. No, it's definitely changed a lot since then, you definitely don't see no cots. It's awesome, dude.
So really what are you rodeoing now?
Man, I actually, which everybody that knows me know, I take my family everywhere. And we actually have a Renegade toter home, and we have a bumper pull, and it takes my horses and a Jeep in the back. But I'm pretty big on, there's a lot of guys that, their families, they come and go, this and that. I want mine there as much as possible. I love it. I love my family to death. I love being around the kids. That's what it drives me nowadays. I want to be as best as possible for them. So,
well, you talk about the toter homes, and then you think of the Tryon kids. Even though it's still good, living quarters trailers and a pickup.
Absolutely.
But those little guys sat in a car seat for how long?
That's
and then
right.
back of that pickup for how many thousands of miles? Where you're talking about the toter home, get hungry,
That's right.
sandwich back there in lunch, Coffee if you need going down the road, it's right there.
For a family, it's game
bathroom,
changer.
it's you never have the rig stays moving.
That's right. No, it is. Brittany, she fixes dinner going down the road. The kids, I know they ain't supposed to, but half the time they're running up and down the aisle. They're not strapped in a car seat, which if you're strapped in a car seat for a youngin', 16 hours in there, it's almost impossible.
Mm-hmm.
And I want them there. So when they get tired, they go to the back, get in bed, go to sleep, whatever, get rested up. It's dang sure game changing. A lot of people, heck, I'd love to have it even when I didn't have kids, but it's expensive to have as well. But
yeah, you're always fixing them.
Always fixing.
They're always fixing,
always
and then
fixed.
the mileage is pretty low.
Yep.
But when you're talking about this is what I'm doing there's also quality of life.
There is,
especially with kids.
There is, and I'm not the only one that does it nowadays. Like I said, you said what's it like now? There's tons of them rigs out there. Lots of guys got their families, and then there's still some groups that 3 or 4 teams pile up in there and they take off, and they have them a big old time. There ain't nothing wrong with that. But I do think rodeo has changed a ton, and
well, there's going to be more money in it. So with more money in it, there's obviously now you're trying to keep your family together as well.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. A lot of guys before, when they all had to pile up and 4 of them had to go, there wasn't time for the family. So it was very hard to keep that together.
And that was the biggest thing too, because I feel like just my little bit of time in the rodeo, and it's changed since I started, and it's so easy. I've seen it so many times. You got a rodeoing and families get busted up and split up, and it's hard. And I always said, when I get serious and get married and this and that, the only way I'm doing it is if the crew goes with me, because I'm not going to be out there arguing on the telephone and, and this and that. And next thing you know, you're going to be just like them guys. And then your family's broken up and all that. And where I come from back home there, man, I got a big family, and we're all very, very close. And I'm a firm believer in, if you ain't got family, you ain't got nothing. And some people don't even know what that's like. They didn't grow up in that kind of a family. They don't know, and I'm sorry for them, because I'm telling you, once you've been in that, it's a feeling like no other. So I've always said, when I got serious about it, the family couldn't go, I ain't going. But luckily, I got a great wife, and she's behind me. She probably wants me to go more than I want to go, and the kids love to go, and it's where we can all go and be comfortable and have a good time. And luckily my partners have been good about it as well. So
Jade and I was talking this morning because his podcast dropped this morning, and
Mm-hmm.
my phone's blowing up already on that one. So that one's going to be pretty epic. But I was talking to him. I'm like, all right, what's some funny stuff? I need some funny stuff. He's like, ask him how many diapers he's changed.
0. 0.
That's next level there, isn't it?
0. I had to, so I've pretty much got out of it all the way up until, and I would have got out of it this time too, but our second one, Cora, she came early, 2 weeks early, but all the family was supposed to be here. Well, she came early, and it's just me and Brittany and Claxton. So it's just us. We take off over there, this and that, and the storm's hitting. It was 1st of January. It was super cold. They wouldn't let Claxton stay at the hospital. We were going to stay with Brittany and Cora, and they said the kid can't stay in here. So me and Clax, we had to come home. Get up, Chuck. I have never changed a diaper at this point. First thing the next morning, Claxton has a dirty diaper. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I don't know how many wipes I used. I would pick one, I'd wipe, and I'd throw. And I'd get another one, I'd wipe, and I'd throw. But it got me through it. But I'm not a big diaper changer. And Brittany, she's tough, so all I can tell her.
That's funny. Yeah, my dad, when Creed was born, that was his first one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with him. Hats off, because
That's pretty funny.
it's tough. And like I said, I love to hunt. I can clean deer, gut deer, whatever. But
That's wild.
There's just something about it. I'm like, no.
Yeah, it's truly amazing though having them with you. I
It
can only
is.
imagine.
It is,
It's
and
wonderful.
it's good too, having a partner like Jade. He's great with him too. Claxton loves Jade.
Yeah.
He's all the time when he sees
I've seen him at Gonzales out there roping goats with all the kids.
Yeah,
and
I mean that's awesome too.
Big kid.
You gotta have a certain partner to be able to be good with it, because some of them, they don't want to put up with a guy and his family, and I get it.
Yeah.
Whatever. But luckily we're all right, and we're blessed to do what we love to do.
Oh man, I appreciate you coming on, man.
I appreciate it.
Man, your career, it's phenomenal. Phenomenal where you've gone. It's phenomenal from the heading or the heeling to the heading, the horses, the partnerships, where you've gotten to now, man. It is cool to watch, man. I've been a fan from the social media stand right there watching it. It's been cool. And then, like I say, we've all been in the rig too. We've buddied, we've roped, and
dang right.
to be able to see it, firsthand as well. It's cool to see where you've came.
You've always been one of the guys I've looked up to. You ever since I first come out as a kid. I really wasn't a kid, but I felt like a kid. You've treated me the exact same then as you do now. I feel like we're closer now than we used to, but you've always been good to me, man, and I've always been a big fan of yours too. And I was getting to rope with you that winter. That was fun too. So thanks. Your memories I always look back on.
Yeah, mine too. And it's cool. Like I said, I'm a fan of the freaking head loops and the horses and just the humbleness of, I see so many kids come from the South that have, and so it's cool to see where your career is, man, and we're all rooting for you this year. So you guys go out there and take it to them, man.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
You bet, mate.